Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is the week in review. And a bit of an interesting week. Let's not waste any time. I want to begin with a question to my cohort and commentary here. Did you see this fucking Mark Henry light ass retirement angle that AJ did to sucker Cody in last night on SmackDown?
Yeah, I did see it, and I will say I believed it. I heard the rumors going into it, and I was like one of those things where I definitely had that vibe of like, why the fuck would AJ Styles retire right now when he's still as good as he is? But like the promo did kind of sell me on it. I was a little bit suckered in, but like the thing that killed the interest in it for me was how bad the beatdown was, at least for me. Um, I the having Anderson and Gallows out there, I think added to it and sold it more for me. And them doing the too sweet thing, and AJ did a really good job of selling it and like getting choked up when he talked about being more of a full time dad and stuff like that. And I thought that he did the promo really well. But like Cody coming out and fucking mugging it up and like smiling throughout the whole thing, and then when he talked about AJ's text that he sent him, and he did the little thing where he gets choked up that he's been doing since day one in AEW. I just it felt so inauthentic, and then the beatdown was just so it just felt so short for me. I just felt like the beatdown was so light compared to what I would have expected for me. How about you, man? Were you along the same lines as me, or did you feel differently? Hello? Did I lose you?
Sorry, I muted so that you wouldn't be interrupted. But yeah, no, I was saying, you can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I was saying that I think you and I share our general kind of like some good, some bad. I personally completely disagree with you about the beatdown. Given that it was just the end of SmackDown, they probably didn't have a lot of time. I thought the Styles clash off the steel steps was cool. I thought him ramming Cody's head into the ring post actually looked pretty vicious. It's just for me. Maybe it's because we got spoiled on when Henry did it masterfully a few years ago, and a lot of people even then were like, "Oh, it was so telegraphed when he kept Cena in the ring and everything." And I can understand that, but like I believed it when Henry did it because he also, like, kudos to Henry, he was able to cry on cue. And
Yeah.
like I was like, oh damn, this is real. He just wants to, put over Cena as like the head guy of the company, maybe, thank him because Henry's seen it all. And then that world's strongest slam was so effective because he did it as they were going in for the hug. I just feel like this was like the Henry retirement, but just a degradation in
Yeah.
every sense.
I agree
Like,
with you on that because like even like with Mark Henry, I will say, as great as I do think that AJ did as far as just the promo and the delivery and really selling that this was it for him, Mark still did it better. Mark's delivery was fucking fantastic, and like the daddy's coming home line, oh my god,
yes,
like if that didn't kick you right in the gut, I don't know what to say. And then the idea that he said all that and then he took it back was like, oh my god, this guy's a fucking scumbag. Whereas with AJ, you really didn't get any of that, like, oh my god, this guy fucking sucks vibe at
no, and you know what the
all.
problem was for me, man? I don't want to speak for you, but like I actually went because I only knew about this because of Sean. And so big ups to Sean. Love Sean King. If you're listening to this, I don't know if you'll join us later. If you'll watch us on demand, you're fucking awesome. But I knew this because of him. And I'm like, holy crap, I have to see this.
Right.
And like to me, I guess what I liked about the Henry thing, right, is that I agree with you, first of all, because you said something at the start of this conversation, because I started this by asking you. I wanted your immediate thoughts. And you said, why would he retire when he's as good as he is right now? Completely agree with you because even with Henry, like he was still doing like the Hall of Pain stuff and we were loving it. But given
Yeah.
that he was such a veteran, and AJ is too, it's just funny how he doesn't come off as that same kind of like weathered vet that a Henry would
Dude,
come off as to
it's
me.
so funny because Mark Henry, when he did the fake retirement, was younger than AJ is right now.
That and see, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me because, like, the way Henry sold it, because AJ, just to be as succinct as possible with my main problem from the jump. AJ telegraphed this whole thing when he opened with, Nick Aldis said, if I want another shot, I got to get in the back of the line, and I just can't do that at this stage. And I'm like, okay, so this is why you're doing this, so that you can jump over everybody else. Whereas with Henry, he made no allusions to world titles or anything else. The only thing that he said that would make you feel a bit sus was when he kept Cena in the ring and he was talking about the success in his career. And he said at one point, I mean, not the kind of success that John's had.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's a little weird, but it was more subtle. AJ coming right out of the gate with like, oh, well, me not getting another world title match really gave me pause. Yeah, pause on how to be an asshole. Uh,
Yeah, dude,
but
Mark Henry, when he did that whole promo, dude, he was only like 41 years old and AJ's like 46.
that is crazy to me.
I think
That is
honestly,
crazy to
I
me that
think
age is that old.
part of it is like the size disparity because like big guys age faster when they're in the business just because of how much more of
Yeah.
a toll it takes on their body. Whereas like AJ, he's a smaller guy and he works, I won't say a safer style by any means, but like he does do more like technical stuff. Like I know that there was a point in time that he did more of like the high flying flippy stuff, but most of his career has been more of like the technical stuff. Um, but like yeah, Mark, man, 41 years old when he did that promo, and now it's like shit. Like you think about who's 41 nowadays, it's like fucking LA Knight type shit. Like LA Knight's not 41, he's getting there, but like that's like the age range that we're looking at now. Like, dude, the entire WWE main roster main event scene is closing in on that age. And no one's really blinking an eye like, oh yeah, they're too old, they're past their prime. And like when Mark Henry got drafted to SmackDown before the Hall of Pain gimmick, when he was like 38, 39, that's how we felt. We were like, oh God, Mark Henry's gonna get a push now. He's so old, he's so past his prime. And like that's just how old main eventers are now. Like that's the norm.
Yeah, it really like I'm glad you touched on it so explicitly because that is a cultural shift that I've been kind of mystified by for a while now. And then, dude, when you think about it, this is the age we're in now, but you look at the low-key youth movement we've got going on in the men's main event division. It's exciting times, man. It really
Wait,
is.
who are you talking about when you say that?
Well, I think like, well, isn't Braun like on the younger side? I would assume Braun Breaker, and
But
then of course
how can you
Oba.
call that a main event push though? Like he's done
Well, it's
nothing.
going to get there. I'm saying down the road, and it's
Oh,
certainly going to be younger than these guys are now. Like I'm obviously thinking long term here. I'm not saying right now,
it's
but
just
I'm saying
yeah, it's
like
just
yeah,
interesting though because like the foreseeable future, like we've got a few guys lined up that haven't won a world title that are still like in that like late 30s age range. I mean, fuck, Braun or Gunther still
yeah,
hasn't won a world title yet, and he's like 36, 37, I think.
yeah.
So like he's getting there. Sami Zayn, you got to imagine, is probably going to win a world title within the next 4 or 5 years. I would imagine, hopefully
I mean,
within the
you
next
would
three.
hope. I mean,
Yeah, I mean
goddamn.
he's around that age range. Like there's dudes lined up at this point. I mean, shit, like that's fuck. I mean, Drew McIntyre. I know he's done it before. It's not like it would be his first time, but like we are kind of ramping up. Like when is Drew going to get a good big babyface win in front of the crowd that he can actually go on a good run with? And like he's like 37, I think, at this point too.
Yeah, yeah. So it is just crazy that
I mean, you're
AJ.
right
Yeah,
that there's like a whole like generation of dudes like kind of simmering, getting ready to take that next
yeah.
step, but they're definitely not there yet. And like I know you mentioned Braun, and we've got, unfortunately, as much as I hate it, I'm sure Ilya is going to be a part of that next crop. And
Oh, absolutely.
as far as like
Yeah.
NXT guys, we've got Oba, we've got Trick. There's probably more guys that I can't think of off the top of my head, but like there's a crop of dudes simmering. But as of right now, the main event scene, like the only dude under like 35 in the main event scene is Solo Sokoa.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, given that you mentioned that, let's just jump to that right quick. I
Yeah.
mean, Kevin Owens really wanting a piece of this bloodline.
Yeah.
Um, the
And
Street
I
Profits.
love that the Street Profits helped him.
Yeah, yeah, that was cool. Kevin even said backstage, "You might be the first guys that I don't turn on." So I really appreciated the self awareness too. Like
I,
that was,
I just hope
uh,
that that's not like whatever the opposite of a self-fulfilling prophecy is.
yeah. I
Because
mean,
like
that
a
seemed like a very
self-fulfilling prophecy would be like, I'm gonna turn on you guys. I just know it, and then he does it because he knows he's gonna do it, and then he does it because he has control over it. But like
yeah,
whatever the opposite of that is, where he says, "Oh, I hope I don't do it," and then he does it, and it's just like, well, shit.
definitely. I told you guys what happened, and you don't listen. All you had to do was leave. But but no, I
Dude, still to this day, that woman is like best fan of the year. I think.
yeah, no, that lives in my head rent free. But it's interesting. Look, I'm still into the whole solo bloodline angle. I know we had a nice discussion
Yeah,
about it like a week or two ago.
I
I don't.
saw.
Yeah, and you know what?
It's so funny because literally like 15 minutes ago, Gala posted a tweet from Wrestle Ops on X. That was Solo Sokoa photo show. It was with his new look, where he's trying to look like fucking Hitman, right?
Yeah.
And I literally, when I saw that, I was like, "Oh boy, can't wait to talk about how much I hate this on Weekend Review this week."
I don't think it's the worst look. I think the gloves are actually a bit much. He does have a lot going on in it, but I will say this: I didn't get worked by Allen. I'm like, man, you are being way too obvious right now. I am getting worked by Heyman though, because I really don't know how Heyman feels. Now
Yeah, that's fair.
I've been watching Heyman since the early 2000s, since he came in with Brock Lesnar.
Right.
And I know he's a piece of shit. I love that he's a piece of shit. Uh, but I don't know if he's genuinely afraid and he's going to be a cowardly piece of shit, or like if he is just conniving all of us and like doing more stuff and he doesn't know what to do. But like, I don't, he's just trying to sell Kevin
Dude.
Owens, like, oh, please, please don't do this. And,
I mean, what
you
does
know,
Kevin even have to gain?
I mean, it's his pride, man. They tried taking
Oh,
him out, you
it
know?
goeth before the fall.
Yeah, but he's been feuding with the bloodline for so long now. What's he gonna do? Anything else? I don't think
Yeah,
so.
Cody's ripe for the picking. I'm just saying.
I
We
mean, after that
we
beatdown.
I was gonna say we wouldn't have AJ Styles fake retiring if Kevin had just targeted him earlier in the night. Can you imagine if Kevin came out and instead of being like, "I want Solo Sikoa," if he would have been like, "You know what? Fuck it, I'm done with the bloodline. Give me Cody. I want a title shot." AJ would have been like, let me tell you, maybe I don't have an announcement tonight.
You know, I'm gonna be honest, and this is me flexing my shitty power level. Kevin Owens being a babyface is what I've wanted for so long, but WWE has made me not want it, and I don't really mind if Kevin beats the shit out of people and ruins lives if he starts winning. Like, I really need to make explicit. I really don't care about the welfare and kayfabe of anybody else so long as Kevin prospers. And so. Yeah, fuck Cody. Right. And while we're on that subject, actually, there is one more stray that I need to give out. Fuck you, Corey Graves. You're nauseating as a babyface commentator. Him being like, "Oh, somebody get security. Oh, AJ Styles, you son of a bitch." When you were a wrestler, didn't you have like beat down on your knuckles or something like an edge lord? Sit down. You're already sitting down, so stand up and then sit down. Jesus Christ. So yeah, I think Heyman. I don't know if he's genuinely scared of this bloodline or what. And I don't know if they're gonna kind of run back what they did with him when Roman and Brock were feuding, where it kind of goes between people because, as Javaris has famously said many times, Paulie is for the streets. Like he knows no loyalty. I mean, hell, even back in like 2002, 2003, when he cheated on Brock Lesnar with the Big Show and then cheated on the Big Show with Kurt Angle. I mean, this dude be thirsty as fuck. So, like, I don't know what he's thinking, but he tried to get Kevin Owens to not do this. Kevin Owens, of course, does it because he's my muse, and he literally through his actions was like, "Don't tell me what to do." And so yeah, we're getting that feud. It's just, I guess, my concern about it now and again. I know we already touched on this a little bit like a few weeks ago. If you put Solo in the ring with Cody now, even with the muscle and stuff he's got, I don't know if I would believe him beating Cody for the title. I think Cody just really feels like that guy right now, and I hate it. I hate every second of it. But he just doesn't seem believable. Now, if Gunther was on SmackDown and we were doing the whole King of the Ring thing and it was Cody Gunther,
Mm.
I'd believe it, even though Cody again has eliminated Gunther from the Rumble 2 years in a row. Oh boy. So I don't really know who beats Cody for the title, but I'm still thinking that they're setting Solo up for it. I just don't know how that's going to come off.
Speaking
Now that
of, what did
yeah,
you think of the backstage segment where Paul said about how like when Roman comes back, they want to have Cody right where they, they need to have Cody right where they want him, and then Solo was like, "Oh, we already do."
that was interesting because I'm like, part of me wonders if they want to do Orton Cody for SummerSlam. But then another part of me is like, no, SummerSlam's either got to be to me Solo Cody or Roman Cody 3 for the title. Like Roman comes back for SummerSlam, gets the big four payday, and then just, I guess puts Cody over again. And then I don't know if like Solo out of the match would take Roman out because he just failed again or what. But yeah, SummerSlam has got to be bloodline related to me. I still think that Cody would love to work Orton as one of his championship programs, but I just don't know where you fit that because I just feel like the bloodline is all encompassing. That's kind of a problem I have really with SmackDown specifically is you've got Logan Paul as the mid-card champion who feels bigger than the title just because of who he is.
Right.
And now he's seemingly going to work LA
Oh
Knight.
God, yeah. Speaking of, you see Mello's botch?
Oh, I heard about it in the Discord.
Yeah,
Where like yeah.
that was embarrassing. I mean, it's not like it's gonna like ruin his career or anything, but like, yeah, it's really unfortunate when someone that you love makes a simple verbal trip up and it gets immediately dunked on by a fucking scrub that you know that there are people who are going to latch onto it and be like, LMAO, this guy's better than that guy, even though we know it's not true.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the nature of the business today. And really, I even make this point to talk about Andrade because I don't know about you, and you'd be far better to speak about it than me because unlike me, you paid attention to Andrade a lot more than I did in his AEW run. But Andrade already feels like another guy to me in a
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
And I'm like, I wanted so much more for him. Like I'm
He
probably going
faced
to,
Apollo Cruz this week. And like, don't get me
yeah.
wrong, I like Apollo, but like I think we can also both agree that Apollo is a talented guy while simultaneously acknowledging that his power level is like D tier at best.
His card position is main eventer of main event. Like that, it's not good. And I'm probably alone here. And to be honest, given what I'm about to say, I deserve to be alone here. I'm self-aware. But I'm really at the point where if it really would take Charlotte coming back and doing some kind of power couple shit with Andrade for Andrade to get that main event taste, I'm really considering selling my soul on that dotted line. Because I am
Dude,
so
but that's
tired
the
of this.
thing
Yeah,
though, is like monkey paw finger curls.
I know.
Granted, you get Charlotte as women's world champion and Andrade as US champion. Congrats.
God damn it.
And it's a title he's already held, and like, okay, like he's a champion, but like that's he's still basically subbing to her. Like
Yeah, I guess
she's
we just
like
have to,
that's the problem too, is that like she's literally taller than him, and you know how they're gonna treat that.
and like, okay, so I want to be completely fair here. I'm done addressing that whole thing because I just think you're right, and I don't want to get in a cul-de-sac of conversation there. But like, this is
Ooh.
why I originally said I didn't want Andrade on SmackDown because I feared this would happen.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I think the same thing would be happening if he was on Raw, but at least I would still have the illusion that at any moment he could step up to Priest. Because while I like Priest as world champion and I think Priest is carrying himself very well, um, he feels more beatable than a lot of the main events seen on SmackDown right now for a guy like Andrade. Like if Andrade was to step up to Priest, I'd be like, oh my God, is it? Like, and I'd love to root for Andrade even for like a men's money in the bank or something. It ain't gonna be him. I'm really like, I hate to be cynical because I hate being cynical on here because especially with everything else going on in the world, I would like wrestling to be my bastion where I'm a bit more positive. But I'm starting to accept that Andrade just may never be that guy. And it's just a shame because like I like Solo and I like what he's doing, but like imagine Andrade with a cool ass fucking faction, coming out in the suits and everything else. That
Well, I mean, he was
yeah.
literally just inducted into the LWO this week, wasn't he?
Didn't he snub that offer though? I thought he kind of snubbed it and showed no interest. 'Cause I know
Or
he told
okay, no,
Garza
no.
like,
I was thinking about it was the LDF. See, now I will just kind of put my hands up here and say I slept through most of SmackDown, but I was like not zooming, like zoning in and out. Like I was like half awake, half asleep for some of it. So I knew that he got like some faction attempted to induct him in. I just didn't realize which one it was. I thought I was under the impression that it was the LWO. It turned out it was just the LDF, and he was like, "No, fuck that. No, I'm not interested," kind of thing.
Yeah,
But what I do want to say though is I do think it's really weird that they did draft him to a show that was opposite to LWO because he was teaming with LWO leading up to Mania, teamed up with them on Mania, and then they split them up. And like, not only that, but like there was basically like a simmering feud happening between LWO and Judgment Day. And now
yeah,
LWO is on the same show as Judgment Day, and like Carlito is like doing things with Judgment Day, but now Andrade's separate from them. I feel like they kind of fucked that up personally.
definitely, definitely. Like I really thought Andrade, like
Oh,
after helping LWO and seeing LWO go to Raw, where the Judgment Day is, where Dom is, where Priest in the World Title is. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
maybe things will cook for him, and then he goes spent, and I'm like, God damn it,
Yeah,
you know?
and now he's
Yeah,
in a situation where like the two men's singles champs are Cody, who is like again like in terms of the way he's booked, leaps and bounds above Andrade, unfortunately. And then like Logan Paul, who don't get me wrong, I can imagine a world where WWE would book Andrade to beat Logan Paul. I mean, it's not a common occurrence, I would imagine, but I can imagine that happening. But the problem is, I don't want Andrade and Logan Paul to have a match because like Andrade is like an old school wrestler's wrestler, not like a spot monkey that would have a great match with Logan Paul. You know what I mean? Like Logan Paul would have a great match with like a Ricochet or like I know he's not in WWE, but like a Will Ospreay. Like that's the type of wrestler Logan Paul is. Give me
yeah.
Andrade versus Styles, man. You know what I mean? Like
I mean, that's the big match I wanted, but we know Styles ain't gonna beat Cody for the title, so
no.
it
I
just
mean, I'm not saying it because
yeah.
of that though. Like literally, like
No, I know, yeah,
let
yeah,
Styles fail to beat Cody and then give me them two in a feud with each other for no reason. Maybe just make some shit up. Make it like a personal thing for no other reason. Like just
yeah,
just do like a best of seven series or something. Then have
yeah.
them start teaming up and go after the tag titles. Fuck it. I don't give a shit.
I just feel really, really sorry for the undercard that I am championing and rooting for, and that includes Escobar too. Honestly, like I was really hoping after a feud with Ray, he'd at least be in that United States title conversation because this all goes back to he never got his proper title shot, and Ray took it from him. And like you're talking about two very talented guys, both in the same purgatory, and it just you hate to see it. Um, Beyond that though, again, we the women I think are still doing good stuff. We got Piper and Chelsea coming after Bailey in that women's championship, but we know Naya is waiting in the wings come SummerSlam. She had her coronation.
Ooh,
Not
we hate it.
indeed, not really much to say there, but Piper and Chelsea did beat Naomi and Bailey in a tag team matchup. I thought that was pretty cool. And speaking of Naomi, though, she could be branching off into a little something with Blair Davenport because they interacted this week. Did you see this?
No, I didn't. I slept through this.
Okay, so yeah, Blair and Naomi had a backstage interaction because Naomi came into Nick Aldis's office to get the tag team match made, and Blair felt disrespected because she felt like Naomi was interrupting, and she said more or less like you're gonna know who I am, that kind of thing. So I really like Naomi, and I do wish she was doing more than like establishing the talent coming in. But at the same time, she's on TV, she's getting work, and like in my older age, I'm not thinking about totally kayfabe accomplishments. I still think about it every now and again, but I'm thinking like, are they working? Are they on TV? Are they getting out there? And so Naomi versus Blair should cook. I will say, if that's where they're going, and it certainly seems to be again because they're even continuing it on Twitter a little bit. I would say that SmackDown's already utilizing Blair better than Raw's utilizing Kiana. And that's a shame because I've Blair's grown on me a little bit. I've kind of looked past the issues that I had with her, like in Stardom and in New Japan. But I would still say, on the whole, I'm a bigger Kiana James fan than I am a Blair Davenport fan. And I just
Yeah.
don't know what Raw's doing with her. But SmackDown very clearly, at least in the moment, has some kind of a semblance of a plan with Blair, and that's more than I could say for Kiana and Raw.
Here's what I
So
don't understand.
yeah,
Because I mean, you're bringing up these relatively when I say rookies, I'm talking about like main roster rookies, right? So
yeah.
you're bringing up these rookies. Why is it? that Tiffany Stratton and Ilya Dragunov are immediately being used. They got drafted, they're just immediately used. Day one, immediately getting pushed, immediately getting matches. And again, it's not just matches against like local talents. They're getting matches against other name, like people we know, people we've seen win matches, people we've seen win championships, for fuck's sakes. Meanwhile, Kiana James and Braun fucking Breaker are basically getting a storyline where they have to beg, and even Blair are basically getting a storyline where they have to beg for work from the GMs that fucking drafted them.
Yeah.
I don't
I
understand this at all.
the Braun story of the examples you mentioned is the only one that I'm vibing with because this dude ain't even begging. He's destroying and he's pretty much punishing Pierce. He's like, you know what? You're not going to use me. This is your problem now. Clean your mess up.
But again,
Uh,
though, like you're right that like they're turning it into something fun, but like, why did Ilya get the special treatment of being in King of the Ring and Braun didn't? I don't understand that at all.
Foster also makes a great point throwing a name out there. Where the hell is Dijak? This
Yeah,
dude was
where
cooking
is
on
Dijak?
NXT.
Where the fuck
Yeah.
he got drafted? Where the fuck is he too? So we've got two men and two women, Braun and Dijak, Kiana and Blair, who got drafted, who are doing absolutely nothing. And meanwhile, it's not like NXT people who got drafted up to Raw or SmackDown are not getting used because we have proof in specifically Ilya and Tiffany that they are being used. It's just the specific ones that are being used. So why is it only these specific ones that are being used and not all of them? And more specifically, why is Ilya or why was Ilya in the King of the Ring tournament and Braun wasn't? That is like the biggest mystery to me, I think, because they were both drafted at the same damn time. And if I remember correctly, Braun was drafted ahead of Ilya in the draft. So why the fuck was Braun not in King of the Ring and Ilya was?
I mean, you're making salient points. So my answer isn't even addressing your points. It's just kind of getting in the head of the people that made those decisions. I just think Triple H sees. I mean, unironically, I feel like Triple H sees Ilya versus Gunther as a future WrestleMania main event or a future like big pay per view main event for the world title, and
Ugh.
that doesn't answer any of your questions. And again, I just wanted to make clear that I understand that. It's just I feel like he put Ilya in there because Gunther was also in there, and he wanted to plant the seeds of like Gunther being like, "Oh, you're not the Ilya that beat me for the UK championship," and then Ilya having to claw to be on Gunther's level on the main roster, and then Triple H feels that there's box office in that.
See, but they didn't even interact.
Well, they did a little bit, just a tiny bit,
Did they?
because well, when Ilya lost to Jay, Gunther came out and he shared like a quick like look at Ilya, almost like, "Wow, I can't believe you lost." And then he went in and like stared down Jay like in the ring. So like you're right, but I do just want to correct the record and say that these two have acknowledged each other's existence on the main roster. Um, all of that being said, there was something. Right. Because Foster really got in my head with Dijak, bro. I really can't believe. I really can't believe that WWE sacrificed Dijak and Oba one on one on the pyre just so that Raw wouldn't use Dijak. Like that is some bullshit to me. Like I think Alex
Yeah.
got me a little bit heated. Like, and it's not your fault, obviously, Alex. You're beautiful, you know that.
No, you're
But I
right
wasn't
though.
even.
That's
Yeah,
yeah, it's a problem because like that kind of harkens back to the Vince days. It's like that's some Vince shit. That Vince would randomly just draft people that he wouldn't have a plan for on the main roster, and they would end up going from doing interesting shit in NXT to doing nothing on the main roster. And that's something that I really didn't want to see Triple H fall into the same trap of, but here we are.
yeah, because that is glaring to me that Dijak was cooking on NXT. I hadn't seen his stock that high in so long. And then they just bring him back to Raw, and you're not doing anything. Now you watch, because one of two things is going to happen, or maybe more, but these are the two options I immediately think of. Either one, it's just going to keep happening. We're just going to keep getting annoyed, and then there's no point to even talk about it anymore because how can you say, how many different ways can you say this is shit? Or they are going to do something, and then all the WWE lifers are going to be like, see, you guys just aren't patient enough. They had something planned the whole time. When, like, honestly, one thing I am slowly being a bit convinced of is I wonder if Triple H pulls stuff out of his ass just as much as Vince did. He's just better at masking it because I'm like, you couldn't
Well,
have been doing stuff all this time. I
and,
don't
and you
know.
know what though? I'm also just going to add two things. First of all, we've seen instances where somebody was drafted and continued finishing whatever they were doing in NXT while they were officially members of whatever main roster they were supposed to be a part of. And second of all, I almost feel like it would be better off at this point if they just didn't do the NXT call ups in the draft. And if people got called up from NXT organically, where like they basically quote unquote graduated from NXT and like they had sort of the same process that we got to see with Asuka when she lost her NXT Women's title, where we got to see like the negotiations where the Raw and SmackDown GMs show up on NXT, and we get to see the NXT GM talking with both of them with that superstar in the room, and we get to see like them talking and negotiating over this, over a clipboard, talking about like what, which contract they're going to sign. You get to create some anticipation there, and then whenever that person shows up on one of the shows, it's like, oh shit, okay, I guess they signed here, and then they can hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
way you don't have to do this big group of like 7 or 8 people, and you only use fucking 4 of them or 3 of them or whatever it is. Because I mean, we even had Alex Foster point out, oh, I wonder about Lyra and Tatum. It's like, yeah, that's another unfinished story from NXT. And Lyra's another one who was in the Queen of the Ring tournament. And I think Tiffany was also in the Queen of the Ring tournament. But yet again, Kiana and Blair were not. So it's like and the thing is, like, with them, I think it makes more sense the way that the women were selected, because you had the 2 former slash current NXT Women's Champions in the tournament, and the 2 women that had never held gold there were excluded. But Braun is still a glaring exception here, because Braun was one of the most dominant NXT champions of all time, and he got snubbed for what fucking reason, I don't know. You put Ricochet in the tournament, but not him. Are you fucking kidding me? You put
Even
JD
told
McDougalberries in the tournament, but not Braun fucking Breaker. Like what?
Yeah, I mean, but Braun even told Pierce, he's like, you didn't have to protect me. Like, you have to protect them. Anybody I'm in the ring with, I'm dragging in the ocean and I'm
Yeah.
drowning them and I'm laughing. Like,
Why did Pierce feel the need to quote unquote protect Braun, but he didn't feel the need to protect Ilya? What the fuck is that?
dude, I don't know. I think everything you're saying, again, you're making very salient points. I don't have any worthwhile counterpoints. I'm just thinking that this is their haphazard way of showing who they think like the main eventers are or the big angles are. Again, going back to Ilya Gunther specifically, and they're kind of doing maybe a slower burn with Braun. And in a way, I get it, but like slow burns still have to be written well. And this omission just wasn't explained well. Like, I really don't get because they made a big deal about Braun at first. Because you even saw when it seemed like he was going to go in the Aldis camp, Pierce tried to like poach him, tried to get in his ear, like, "Oh, hey, don't go in Nick Aldis. He won't know what to do with you. He won't know what to do with him." Like in kayfabe, I've always said that I'm a bigger Aldis fan than a Pierce fan because I feel like Aldis would have put Braun in the fucking tournament. Like honestly, I just get that vibe about Nick Aldis. Pierce has to explain himself. Like, why didn't you do this? And maybe it'll come to that. Like maybe they'll have a segment in the ring where he like calls Braun out to try and dress him down because he's running amok. Um, all those logical inconsistencies aside, I will say I still enjoy watching Braun spear the shit out of people and just showing that, hey, your fucking roster, the people that you gave qualifiers to, are nothing to me because outside of Kale Dixon, I mean, the first person he really speared was Ricochet. Then he speared him again this Monday, and he also speared Ilya. So he's going after guys that were in the tournament that lost. And
Good.
I would love if he actually beats these guys.
See, now to me that is like a patience thing, because to me, if that is the case, if he is going to start going after King of the Ring tournament participants, and that's a story that they're telling, that they kept him out of the tournament, and like there's no real reason, that it's just like a nonsense reason, but like the story is now, like in terms of not necessarily kayfabe, but in terms of like the actual writing of it, they kept him out of the tournament to tell the story of him getting revenge on everyone that was in the tournament. I'm fucking down. I'd like a better kayfabe explanation than, oh, I wanted to protect you, when like he didn't protect Ilya, because that
Yeah.
doesn't work. But like if that, I can overlook it if it's going to be good writing otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I do low key think that it's happening. And Foster, listen, you're right that Kale Dixon like doesn't fit that criteria. The problem with Kale Dixon was he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And like, Braun, I think being in the ring with Kale Dixon, like I think Braun was keeping his shit together a little bit. But keep in mind, this all started after Braun got in the ring with him, probably because he felt like that was one insult too many. So for Dixon, it was just place and timing, and nothing else.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's so
um,
disrespectful. Like, don't get me wrong. Kel Dixon, I don't know anything about that dude. Maybe at some point in his career, he'll end up being a big deal. But right now, he's a fucking nobody, and Pierce really thought that he was worthy of a match with Braun Breaker. Like, fuck off.
yeah. I know there are just things that we skip on every show that we just do not give a shit about, and there were some developments there too, like A Town Down Under and some shit, but I don't really want to get into
Oh
that. So
yeah,
I
I will
feel
even
like,
say, Austin Theory used Ataxia for the first time, I think, this week.
yeah, it only got a 2 count, which is kind of a shame because that used to be like his finish in like
I
Evolve and stuff,
thought it looked
wasn't
pretty cool. Yeah, I actually saw a
it?
clip of it and I thought it looked pretty cool. I kind of am salty that it only got a 2 count.
Yeah. So yeah, that was SmackDown. I will say to because we Foster had mentioned Lyra and Tatum. I do want to talk about NXT, this Women's North American Championship ladder match. God, see, I'm just having a problem with the undercard in this company right now because I really thought that Tatum was finally getting some serious momentum, like the most momentum I've ever seen her have in her entire career between Diamond Mine and now this, because that vignette she did was so good. And then Spring Breakin', right? I think was the triple threat. Spring Breakin' night one even. And she did that 450 and she looked great in the triple threat. And I'm like, oh, cool. Lyra, she's got momentum. She's starting to cook. That's great. And then she's like, oh, I'll just be in this ladder match when I thought her obsession was with the just NXT Women's Championship. And then she loses to Michin. And it's a shame. Like, I hate being in this position because I like Michin a lot. Seems like a sweetheart, great in the fucking ring. Love her attitude. I actually think she's a bit underrated as a talker because I think she's straight and to the point. But I'm worried that they're cooling down Tatum to the point where she's going to go back to being somewhat irrelevant or being in a small role that I thought she should be in by now. So that kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. And then what was the other qualifier?
Kalani Jordan versus
Ren Sinclair.
yes, Ren.
Yeah, and Ren like is all right. I don't even know why she was in this position. Whatever.
Yeah, you
Kalani
do.
winning.
Remember, they don't did the fucking combine thing.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, dude, obviously, I'm just saying, like in kayfabe, because I feel like they may. I don't know if they like falsified those results or what, because we didn't see the comment. They didn't do like a live stream of it. You
Oh,
know what I
right,
mean?
right.
They did like those cuts and everything. So I'm like, But yeah, like I should have phrased that better. But I don't know why, like in kayfabe, like she got to quote, she made the cutting board there for the combine and is here. But Kalani was the obvious pick, and like, cool.
I
Um,
feel like Kalani is the least likely woman to win this match. As much as I like her, I think she has a lot of upside, and I think she's adorable and has a great personality and stuff. I think she's far and away the least likely to win this match. Like at this point, honestly, it might as well just be a 5-woman ladder match because I think that equally, like if you were to lay out percentages of each woman to win this title match, it's like 20-20, 20-20, 20-0.
I mean, bro, honestly, the funny thing is, I'm looking at this ladder match right now, and I think either Jada or Fallon wins the freaking title, and I'm leaning Fallon a little bit.
I
But
think, like
Jada,
I said, dude, I think that anyone other than Kalani
yeah,
has super viable like credibility to win here. I think Fallon is the person that I least want to see win it personally.
yeah,
Um, Jada feels like she's been getting built up a lot more than anyone else. Like they've been giving her more TV time, more mic time, more just featuring her more in general. So I'm kind of leaning towards her, but like they love Solruka. Lash
they do.
Legend. Lash Legend is a huge deal, and she'd be a great first champ. Michin would be a great choice if they just want to put her on someone that they know can crank out amazing matches on pay-per-views. And yeah, like they love Fallon too, so you never know.
I mean, I will say on the babyface side, because I am considering Lash more of a babyface, even though she's still with the metaphor. Like, I still imagine that
She's a baby
takeover.
face because she stands up for Trick.
Yes, takeover battleground. I'm still imagining ending with Trick retaining his title and Lash winning that championship, and they're both like title holders. But you know, if you want to hit the ground running with a championship, sometimes a heel isn't a bad way to go. And I like heel Fallon personally. I think Jada needs more time. I do think there's a lot to her, but some of the offense, I'm not really sold personally. I could
Whose
use a bit
offense are you
more.
not sold on?
Jada Parker's like
Oh,
just
okay.
in the ring, like she's okay, but I want to see more. I'm personally not ready to pull the trigger on her, but that could just be me, and that's fine.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I was even gonna say apparently they are still calling her undefeated, like referring to Jada as undefeated.
yeah, and the thing is, with a ladder match, you could still protect that because nobody's getting pinned or submitted. It's
Right.
just, hey, did you take the fewest bumps so you were able to scale a ladder and pull something down? Like that's fucking nuts. Um, So yeah, yeah. I'm just curious who the first champion will be because I'm really excited that the women are getting a mid card title. And I heard reports, I don't know how substantiated, but that the main roster might even doing like a mid card IC esque
Yeah,
title for the
the
women and
women.
stuff.
Yep.
And it's like,
I was even going to say I feel like if they really do go through with that, they're just going to do the men's stuff. They're going to just do a women's United States Championship and a women's Intercontinental Championship. Honestly,
I gotta ask everybody if they do pull the trigger on that, is anybody else ready for the women to like? And I'm not saying like stop putting them on the main roster if they do this, but like in addition to the main roster slots, shouldn't the women just get their own show by now? Like you're doing WWE Speed for God's sakes on Twitter. You're telling me you can't even make your own Twitter program for the women? Because I feel like that would do a lot better. I don't know what Speed's numbers are, so I shouldn't talk out of my ass. I should make clear I don't know what Speed's viewership is on X, but I feel like the women have kind of earned their own show. They're still asking for a what Revolution was the pay-per-view? They're
yeah,
still asking for a Revolution too, for God's sakes. And I
yeah.
feel like that should have been a yearly thing with what we know women's wrestling can do draw-wise. The drawing power of women's wrestling right now, you should be giving them a Revolution every year.
I think
And to
they're
me, you should be giving them their
fully
own show.
convinced though that like if they can't get the name power that they had for Revolution, that they won't be able to do as well as far as the um
Javar's corrected. It was Evolution, not Revolution.
Evolution.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But like they made this big deal about being able to have that show be main evented by Ronda versus Nikki Bella, and I think that like they see it as like that's like a once in a lifetime main event that if they can't get big names like that again, they're not going to be able to draw enough to justify having another all women's pay per view.
God, I hate that way of thinking because I don't know. Maybe I can't say that it's totally wrong, but viscerally, I want to just reject it, like
Yeah,
internally, because
yeah.
Io's cooking, Lyra's cooking, Bianca, I think, is still a draw. You've got Jade freaking Cargill. Like, you have amazing pieces in place. The idea that they don't even have their own main event esque show is honestly an embarrassment to me. That shows me that even WWE, for as well as they're doing, you're not taking advantage to one of the biggest draws in your company that you have right now. And I don't know. I don't have the patience for it, really. Get your fucking act together, everybody, because I don't know what these women have to do. They're making you money. They're drawing eyes. Like, literally, I thought that was the point of pro wrestling, and they're doing it. They're like meeting the criterion. And AEW, I won't even get into that. They're just like, oh, yeah, okay, we'll just give you this thing once in a while, I guess. A main event every couple weeks when the Twitter heat is getting a little bit too much. And then WWE is like, yeah, we'll do better. But, we don't want to just be excellent. We'll just do enough. We'll do enough. So yeah, pretty exhausting. Um, so yeah, do not care about the NXT tag division because the titles are held by a couple of fucking dweebs. Let's stay on the women because they are the most interesting thing I think on NXT. You got Lola who beat Ariana Grace, which I mean that's a travesty. Everybody go support Ariana Grace. She's starting on Twitch. I watched a little bit of her Twitch stream a couple days ago.
What
Um,
game did she play?
I forget the name of it, but it seemed like some kind of RPG style game, I think, just from the
Uh,
look of it. I could be wrong though.
so for you specifically, you were watching strictly for Ariana, not for the gameplay.
Yeah, which just shows you how much I love her because RPGs can eat a whole bag of ass, and she was just enough of a draw to keep me there. And for
That's
anybody that's
beautiful.
yeah, for anybody that's an RPG fan, yeah. So anyway, Lola
Bro.
Vice.
You know I'm an RPG fan.
Yeah, I know. I know
Oh,
what I
she
said.
was playing RuneScape. She was playing RuneScape. I looked it up.
Oh, okay, fair enough. That's not an RPG, is it?
I think it's some kind of RPG. It's like an MMO. It's a Morpger. It's a Morpger. It's an MMORPG, I think.
Well, Javaris, so long as you scratch your ass like a gentleman like Ariana would tell you to, then I guess we're okay. Don't be like
Yeah.
doing it out now and having, drawing attention to yourself. Um, but yeah, Lola beats Ariana with the spinning back fist. It was only a 2-minute match, apparently, according to this report that I'm reading. So, wow.
Yeah, this was well, Ariana's whole gimmick is like she's a lady and she's not really that into the fighting thing. The only reason she beat Gigi was because of the cunt punt.
Yeah, right in my flower. Um, I mean, look, I still don't know how to feel about Lola Vice. Like, in some ways, I think she's moving positively with me. And other ways, I'm like, oh my God, like, is she just here for a short time, kind of pad out a resume and then go do other stuff? Which I mean, hell, I don't blame you. This is hell on the body and the mind pro wrestling. So I don't freaking know, where Lola's head is at. But I am intrigued by her
She's only
doing.
25 years old.
That's pretty nuts. I am intrigued by her doing NXT Underground with Shayna. It's nice that Shayna feels like a badass again a little bit in a WWE ring, because Christ, it's been a minute. But Shayna's another one, much like Andrade. I'm just giving up hope on her ever being like the star that I think we all felt she could be. It's incredulous to me, bro, that she hasn't held either of the main women's championships. Like that is
Remember
wow.
when she
Um,
literally eliminated everyone in the Elimination Chamber?
and yet she couldn't beat Becky and her fetus at WrestleMania. I mean, I guess to
even
be fair, it was
though
a 2-on-1 handicap match, so
even though
I don't
Becky
freaking
literally like petitioned for it backstage, they were like, "No, Becky, you're fucking winning now. Stop asking."
yeah. God damn it. So yeah, kudos to Shayna, I think, for really helping Lola, get over. I don't even really know who's gonna win this, to be honest. 'Cause I think NXT is still so high on Lola Vice, and like,
Yeah,
hey, they kind of outsmarted me because I thought the big picture was Lola being in the ladder match. They're like, no, no. Because I'm really starting to wonder, like, when we push Lola for a championship, it's the NXT Women's Championship or it's nothing. And like, because if she beats Shayna in this, that's a huge fucking deal. You're talking one of the most dominant
yeah.
NXT Women's Champions of all time. Like, that's nuts. I'm hoping
You
she
know what though?
doesn't.
Roxanne is the current NXT Women's Champion, and I can't imagine they would send heel Lola after the heel champion right now.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
maybe
And
a
and
babyface wins the North American Championship, and then Lola goes after her.
that's totally fair. That's totally fair. I just hope Shayna beats the shit out of her. Probably not going to happen. We'll have to wait and see. I do want to talk about Roxanne, but I want to save that just a little bit longer because I need to check in with you on something. Because I said the women are like the best part of the show to me because everything else was kind of mid. We already touched on the Women's North American Championship qualifiers. Not much to say about those. Did you see this Carly Bright video package? Because I know we've seen a little bit of
Dude,
her on NXT, but I'm like,
oh, she is. I've said in chat in Discord that she's like pre heel turn Alexa Bliss, but I think it's actually worse.
I was afraid you'd say that because I was going to lead with, is she the second coming of Bliss? And then you just answered it before I even got a chance to ask. But then I was going to ask, is she worse? And then you saying that, I'm like, oh, fuck.
Well,
Because, yeah,
because
dude,
at least with Bliss, you could tell there was something there. Like she had the facial expressions, and that was like the main thing that really stood out with her was like she was really expressive, even in
yeah.
the ring. But I don't get any of that with Carly Bright. Carly Bright, it's just like, please show me something. I'm begging you, anything at this point, please.
Even this is going to be a really douchey thing for me to say, probably. But I think sometimes you can tell if somebody's talented or not based on how their vignette comes off. And, like, that vignette, I'm like, oh, no. No, no, no. Like, this is not good. No. No, because I could already tell she sucks. God damn. Now, granted, hey, hey, again, you all know the era I grew up in. You could give some badass vignettes to some real fucking shitters, people that just didn't work out. So clearly, it's not like a law or anything. But this one just focused so much on her cheerleading and everything. I'm like, oh god, you're just passing through, aren't you? Like she just comes off as the type of person that would just go on her Instagram afterwards and be like, "Oh my god, you guys, it was crazy. I took a bump in the ring. It was nuts. I don't know how wrestlers do this." And then she just goes on to the next thing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Carly Bright, like in a year's time, will be something amazing, and then I'll come on here and be like, "Well, folks, this is why you don't listen to grumpy men that don't do nearly the same kind of things physically as wrestlers do." And I'll profusely apologize as I have before when I'm wrong. But yeah, I'm just
Bro,
like, well, if this
do you
isn't DOA.
remember a week or two ago, I was on here talking about how I saw a tag team match on NXT Level Up. It was Brynlee Reese and Layla Diggs versus Carly Bright and Kendall Gray. And I came on here and I was like, Carly Bright really didn't do anything for me, but her tag team partner, Kendall Gray, I like her. I'm impressed by her. She does something for me. And I even like Brynlee Reese's tag partner, Layla Diggs, to a certain degree. But Kendall Gray was one to look out for. Carly Bright just does not impress me right now. I want to see more. I want her to do something that stands out. I want her to do something that makes us go, okay, now we're talking. Okay, now I can see her having a future in this business. But right now, and again, it's like it's unfair to write her off because it is so early in her career. She's brand new to this. But right now, we just haven't seen anything.
No, no, we haven't.
Dude, you sound so doomer right
Yeah, dude,
now.
I really don't know. I really don't know. Because
She's young too. She's like 23, 24 maybe.
Because at the same time, there are other women that I'm like, I want to like you, but I don't know. Because like Brinley Reese and what she's doing with Enofe and Blade, and it's like,
Uh,
God, I
I
like that tag
love
team.
Brinley
Yeah,
Reese's energy. She's fantastic energy wise. Like I love like how much of a meme she is basically, where like she does like the pep talk and then the chest slap and then the cartwheel out. I love everything about that. She's like a
yeah,
cartoon character, but I fucking hate that they are still doing this white savior bullshit.
and you could almost say that it had a little bit of progress because Inoue and Blade they lose to the Good Brothers, which why are they beating all the black tag teams? Like I don't want to be the guy to say it out loud, but like the Tyson and Tyreek, they beat those guys. Now they're beating Inoue and Blade, and it's like okay, cool, cool. But apparently, like on commentary, they were putting over that until Reese got taken out, like in that match, and Ove and Blade were actually winning and doing really well. And I'm like, oh god, so we're making progress, but it's just the whole thing is weird. It really is.
Yeah, and
Like
it feels like it's going on for way too long too.
I remember when the vaudevillains brought in freaking Blue Pants to beat Blake and Murphy, but because Alexa would
Blurfexa.
always get involved. Exactly, yeah, Blurfexa, because Bliss would always get involved. So like I wish Inoue and Blade from their own ability would be beating these teams, but maybe there was a team they couldn't beat because of outside interference, and then that's when Brinley comes in. And they're like, "Oh, why would you help us?" And she's like, "Oh, I've seen you guys grinding, and you embody everything I believe in. Positivity. You know, taking stock of your failures, learning from them, growing, like all that stuff. And then, it happens more organically. She just seemed to kind of get shoehorned in, like, oh, I can help you guys. And it's just, I don't know, man. Ever since their match with Trick and Mello in the Dusty Cup, I'm like, man, this team is being held back to me. I'd say get called up, but hey, I mean, ask Cedric and Ashanti what being drafted did for them, still on SmackDown. We haven't seen vignettes from them for weeks. Now I'm just waiting for them to get released or do something else. So I'm not even going to say them getting drafted or whatever would have helped them. Again, I'm really frustrated with a lot of undercard people that I like with WWE just keeping them because I don't know they have the money to and they don't want them to go anywhere else. I don't know,
Yeah.
but let's talk about the big thing, with the women, because here's the thing, even with Trick and Javon Evans, who's really cool, they beat Gallus, but who gives a fuck about Gallus? And
Ugh.
who gives a fuck about Ethan Page? We're not talking about it.
Oh
Fuck
my
Ethan Page.
dude. Did
Yeah.
you see my fucking Discord comment from the beginning of May where I literally called that shit?
Yeah, yeah, no, I think we all saw because we were all in like live wrestling discussion together, while that NXT episode was happening, and you were just like, "Yeah, call it," and then you showed the receipt. Yeah, you showed the proof. You're like, I called this all the way back then, and yeah, like, ew, just ew. So I'm not gonna waste any breath on that because fuck Ethan Page,
Dude,
fuck Lexus
sometimes when
King.
I make these predictions, I make them hoping to never have to bring them up again because I hope that I'm like being overly cynical and the shit just never happens. And then it happens, and I'm like, fuck, I hate how right this ended up being. I hate it. I don't want to be right about this.
Yeah, yeah. I
Fuck.
mean, so now we have Lexus King and fucking Ethan Page both employed by NXT. Dante Chen beating Lexus King again this week, and
Yeah.
I don't care because like that's another one. I want to like Dante Chen, but it's not really doing it for me there either. So I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
we have both Lexus King and Ethan Page. And would you like to know who asked for either one of them? Fucking no one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, some higher up probably did, and I hate them even
Dude,
though
it
I don't
feels
know them.
so much like an ego stroke. It's so much like it feels so much like one of or both of Triple H and HBK being like, that Tony Khan guy, he's a real chump. He doesn't know how to get guys over. We can get fucking anyone over because the individual talent doesn't fucking matter. It's all about the goddamn system, and our system's the best. We're gonna prove it. We're gonna get these chumps over, whether our fans want it or fucking not. Ha!
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, fuck those guys, not wasting any more air on it. Sorry, Trek. Hope to talk to you about you more next week because you're actually one person that I am proud to have as a
I
world
mean,
champion right
dude,
now. 'Cause,
unfortunately, I don't think we're
yeah.
going to be talking about Trick all that much if he's about to enter a program with Ethan Page, because that's what it looks like to me.
Oh God. Well, he's still got to get through the gnome stuff first, and that's obviously gonna take
I
priority at
mean,
least for a little bit longer.
didn't we find out who attacked Noam this week?
Oh, I guess it was Ethan Page, right? Because
Oh
that was
yeah,
that.
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was Ethan who attacked both Noam and Oro.
Yeah, it would have been so much better if Noam really did set up his own attack, and that would just further drive a wedge between Lash and them.
Dude,
But
that would have been
no,
so much better writing. Holy shit.
because then Lash would have been conflicted, like, "Wait, you lie? How could you lie to us like this?" And then seeing Trick get beat down. But no, let's waste all that potential heat on fucking Ethan. Guys, I gotta tell you, pro wrestling really sucks sometimes. Um, but one really good thing, because I'm a big fan of this person, and I'm still a pretty decent fan of this other person. This NXT Women's Championship match that we got coming up for NXT Battleground,
Yeah.
god damn.
I hope it's
Um,
good, man. I hope it's good. The only reason that I have any apprehension whatsoever is because I just don't know like how these styles are gonna mesh. I feel like
yeah.
though, didn't Jordan beat Roxanne when she was still Roxy for the ROH Women's Championship right before she got brought to NXT in the first place?
No clue, man.
I have to
No
look
clue.
that up actually.
This announcement shocked the hell out of me though. While you're looking that up, I Jordan Grace wasn't anywhere near my bingo card for this. Um, and they're probably saving Julia for Heat Wave, which is gonna
Oh, it
be
was
fucking
fucking
bonkers.
Diana. It was Diana. That's my bad.
Okay, okay. Um, but yeah, I think Jordan and Roxanne. I've already said I think Roxanne's one of the best technical wrestlers in the company. She's made me really fall in love with the style again, just because she's so
Oh,
vicious, but she's so good. I think she's the closest to like a ZSJ that WWE has, just with how like seamless she can get into some holds and
dude,
how vicious she is bell to bell. But
I just looked up on Cage Match. These women have literally only ever shared a ring one time in their careers, and it was literally the Rumble this year.
okay, okay,
That is the only match that they've ever been in the ring together at the same time. And I don't even know if they were actually in the ring at the same time. I just know that they were both in that match.
yes,
So like these two women have zero experience against each other, which is where we come back to my concern. I don't know if their styles are going to mesh with each other.
yeah,
Although I mean Jordan's fucking excellent. I love Jordan. She's great. And Roxanne's obviously awesome at what she does, but I don't know if what she does is going to work with Jordan. But I will say I think this is going to be a fucking perfect litmus test for Roxanne to see how well she's going to mess with Julia, because Jordan
yes.
Jordan works stiff as fuck. She does not hold back. She runs at full speed and she fucking hits your ass. So if Roxanne puts on a good match with Jordan, that increases my confidence that we're going to have a banger when we get Roxanne versus Julia.
Yes, yes. And bro, here's the thing, even beyond the immediate scope of the match, which I personally think is going to cook. I'm excited for it. I think Roxanne's on top of her game. Jordan, I haven't watched in a minute, but I mean, pick Mama Pump. Let's fucking go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Um, I think that the wider implications, because you already saw on Twitter, Mustafa talking about fucking defending his X Division championship back in WWE, or like somebody going
Dude.
over there and like challenging him for it. Drew even talked about maybe going after the the,
Oh
the
god.
TNA world title again or whatever.
Moose.
Moose, yeah, like are
That's
we
who
seeing
I said Moose because he is the current Impact World Champion. So that would be who Drew would be going after.
yeah, exactly. Like, think about this potential axis: WWE, Muddy Gold, and TNA. I mean,
Woo!
that's pretty wild, low
That's kind
key.
of cooking a little bit,
A little bit, yeah,
especially because
yeah,
like something that I feel like people don't really talk about is that like TNA has a lot of really good black talent. Like Moose is somebody that we're kind of sus on because like we've talked to Javaris before, and Moose seems to be like anti-black women, which is something that we've also kind of seen from Swerve, unfortunately. But like, don't they still have Willie Mack too?
yeah,
And like they've got Chris Bay and they've got Rich Swan, like they've got oh fuck, what's her name? Tasha Steeles in Impact. Like
yeah,
Impact has got some really talented black wrestlers that I'd love to see get a bigger platform to show off what they can do. The
yeah,
problem is that
definitely.
they just don't fucking feature them. Like Impact loves featuring their mediocre white dudes, like fucking Steve Cutler or what's his name, Steve Macklin. He was Steve
Exactly. Yeah.
Cutler in WWE, and Josh Alexander and like the fucking like that shit. Yeah, it's they love pushing those dudes.
Yeah, they do. So I don't really know what this WWE TNA relationship could mean in the long run, but it is exciting to think about in some ways. And yeah, we could really see something big pop off NXT Battleground. And we already know that Jordan Grace is going to be on NXT next week against
Yeah.
Stevie
Oh,
Turner.
dude, I also just realized TNA has Giselle.
Yeah, yeah, they do.
TNA has
Yeah, they do.
Giselle Shaw. I would fucking love to see Giselle Shaw mix it up with the women's division in NXT as well.
That would be really cool. So yeah, I mean they're already dipping the toe because again, Jordan Grace is going to be going up against Stevie Turner next week on NXT because Stevie
Dude,
Turner,
I was so
formerly known as Bobby
excited by
Tyler.
this. Stevie Turner getting an actual backstage segment, which led to her getting an actual match. Holy shit.
Yeah, because at first I'm like, why? I haven't heard. And then somebody in the Discord was like, oh, that was Bobby Tyler. And I'm like, oh, to be honest, I need a refresher on them. So I'm looking forward to next week. Um, but yeah, like her versus Jordan should be interesting.
Dude,
So
I'm
yeah, I mean,
sorry. I was excited about the prospect of Stevie Turner getting TV time at all, but like, she's gonna get squashed next week.
yeah. But apparently, according to Foster, Stevie Turner was also talking with Robert Stone. That's also interesting.
Ooh, I
Um,
like that too.
yeah, absolutely.
Also, I'm with
So
Tavares fully. I want Chris Bay on NXT. That would be incredible.
Chris Bray should have been a main event world champion in Impact by now, or excuse me, TNA by now. But I mean, goddamn. So it's nice to know that a lot of wrestling companies just don't know how to maximize all of their pieces on the
Bro,
fucking board.
if Julia's injury keeps her out of action past when NXT was originally going to start using her, which would have been Heatwave, can we get another TNA challenger specifically? Can we please get Roxanne versus Masha?
That would be cool.
I feel like they would have a better match than Roxanne and Jordan will.
Yeah, yeah,
Dude, I feel like Masha's style matches so well with Roxanne's.
yes,
Holy shit, yeah.
yeah.
Masha's another like basically prodigy too. Masha's young as fuck.
Yeah, that I mean that story practically sells itself. You know, who's the ultimate prodigy in pro wrestling, and those two just vying for that. I'd enjoy that. I'd absolutely enjoy that.
Dude. Yeah, dude, Masha's 25 years old and she's been wrestling for 8 years now.
That's insane. That's stupid.
And
Have
the
a
thing is,
child,
she
for God's sakes.
debuted her in-ring debut. She trained and started wrestling in Japan. She was trained by Chigusa fucking Nagayo.
Oh my god. Wrestling stories are nuts. Anyway,
I know. I really want to see Masha do. Dude, another amazing black talent that TNA has that I don't see them use that I would love to see show up in NXT. Leon Slater.
that would be cool. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck, man. Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about a forbidden door that I'm actually interested in? Hell yeah, this one right here.
Definitely. And that's why I kind of saved this for last because I feel like it was the biggest thing that NXT kind of flexed with this week
Yeah.
because it sure as shit wasn't Ethan Page. And I just feel like I just feel like the implications are pretty staggering for it when you really kind of mull on it. But now let's go to Raw, just because because this is a more conversational style that we've adopted like the last month or so. You know, I didn't want to just go in chronological order. Gunther's coronation. I mean, what's there to say? He's a freaking Chad. Love him. Hope he wins the title at SummerSlam. Priest. He kind of came out and kind of faced Gunther. I don't know. Could I see it on a poster? Maybe. But I don't know. I feel like Priest isn't going to be the world champion. I really do think Drew is going to be the world champion when he faces Gunther at SummerSlam. But then again, Punk might screw, fucking Drew at Clash at the Castle. So who even freaking knows? Um, what did you think about this segment, Gunther Priest? And then I know Drew came out later, and I definitely saw like more of the Drew stuff and how like Priest got under his skin, mentioning his wife and stuff. But that and just everything preceding it. Did you have thoughts about this?
Uh, I vaguely remember this, and I remember feeling like Drew is losing his touch a little bit on the mic.
Huh.
I feel like Priest is 2-0 at this point against Drew on the mic.
That's pretty shocking. Yeah, I don't know. I still feel like Drew had a great promo here. But I don't even know if it's him losing a step on the mic as more of it's just his character being exposed, like in kayfabe. It's like, oh, you talk such a big game, but you're just as fragile as everybody that you accuse of being fragile, kind of thing. Because I still thought like before Priest took the ball back, like with the wife and everything, Drew was kind of cooking a little bit. I mean, that shot he took at the American education system was pretty great. You know, we don't
I
study
mean, yeah,
geography.
the funniest thing is like I love the line where he was like, "I'm an American citizen. I'm just stating facts." Like that was great. No
Yeah,
questions.
yeah. I love that more like international superstars are doing that than like our American citizens. It's like, why are you chanting that? I live here. Way to tell on yourselves.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. But no, I mean, here's the thing. I don't even look at it as sour grapes. I'm happy that Priest is growing in confidence as world champion. You want that for world champions. So like go Priest,
yeah,
really. Like I still root
yeah,
for Drew and I'm still a far bigger Drew fan, but I'm not out here rooting for Priest to fail. And I know you're not either. I'm just saying like generally it shouldn't be like, oh no, what's happening? What's happening with Drew? It's like, no, Priest who won this world title, who I'll be honest, I was concerned if he would win the world title because I like Priest, but Seth was a freaking workhorse, and Drew at the time was cooking insanely. So
yeah.
I'm like, where does Priest fit into this? And you know what? Priest was talented enough, just like he was talented enough at Backlash in Puerto Rico to carry Bad Bunny to a great freaking match. He was talented enough to make his own spot.
Yeah.
And you know what? Good for Priest, man.
I
Good for
feel
fucking
like
Priest, man.
it's
Like,
like
yeah,
Drew on the mic went from like an 11 out of 10 this like spring basically to
yeah.
now he's down to like an 8.5 out of 10. It's like he's still really really good and he's still clicking a lot of the time. He's just not fucking transcendent the way he was earlier this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. It's funny because his social media is still doing fucking numbers though. Like that's the thing.
Nice.
When you look at his social data, like he's still getting eyes on his tweets, everything else. Like he is
Nice.
mainstream. Unfortunately, and I say this because I yearn for a simpler time partially. He's mainstream in probably one of the biggest ways possible to be mainstream today. So good for him. But yeah, Priest is definitely stepping his game up. There's no mistake about that. And like honestly, it's getting to the point where if he keeps stepping his game up like this, could any of us really complain like validly about Priest versus Gunther at SummerSlam? Because it's like it's to a point where it's like, well, he's kind of making that title his own. I had a great conversation with Foster about Judgment Day and the world title in the Discord today.
Oh yeah,
Foster
I
did
saw you guys talking about how like Foster feels like he wishes that Priest was more focused on just being a champion and defending the world title and not on everything else.
Yeah, he did a great vocal about it. It was an amazing conversation with Foster. I'm glad that he's getting more confident sharing his opinions because they're beautiful, just like he is. And I can sympathize where he's coming from because Priest is looking really well, but I think it's just a problem. It's not even really a problem, Foster, with like the champions in Judgment Day. It just might be a problem with the Judgment Day faction as a whole. Because I don't want to speak for you, Foster, and like it's kind of continuing our conversation in the Discord in this more public forum here. But it just feels like with the bloodline, even when Roman was being abusive, which was more or less all the time,
Yeah.
they felt like they had their shit together. Mainly because if they didn't, Roman would get the shit together at the expense of everyone else. I don't know if Judgment Day fully has their shit together. And that's kind of an interesting story for Priest as world champion because Priest, I think, is focused on the world title. Because Finn will even still make comments of, oh, it's weird to be going after tag titles with JD. I just imagine it's the two of us out there. And Bree's just like, yeah, yeah. But anyway, I'm world champion, so go soften up my challenger for me. So I think Priest wants to be that kind of world champion, but he is really being held back by the rest of the group. Now, what's interesting to me about all that is who's the babyface in that scenario? Because like Priest isn't taking cheap shots on the mic. You even said he's 2-0 against Drew right now on the mic, and I don't think he's like taking any like low blows on Drew. And if there were any low blows, it's because Drew gave him the reaction he was looking for, like the wife line, which I mean, I feel like Drew has said worse in some ways. And like, okay. So there's that. And Priest has shown he's more than capable of winning matches clean. So I don't know. On one hand, I could see him being the babyface and Finn like kind of doubling down being a heel. On the other hand, though, I have to wonder if like Finn keeps disappointing Priest, but Finn just still looks at Priest as a brother, but Priest starts looking at Finn as a liability. Like I want to love you, amigo, but I'm the world champion now, and you're not even softening on my challengers, and you're letting my challengers, my threats, get close to me. And then does Finn go babyface? So Judgment Day is in a really weird place right now without Rhea, which we'll get more into that later with all the live stuff. And then they've got the world title, which is great, but it doesn't feel like they have the world title. You know what I mean? Like they're not consolidated around that goal like the bloodline was with Roman. And I don't know. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's interesting. So yeah, I don't know how much longer Priest will be world champion. We know he's got Drew at Clash at the Castle. Maybe Punk screws Drew. I don't know. But if let me ask you this: if Priest gets past Drew, do we think he just goes to SummerSlam, or do we still think he'll lose the title before then and go throw face somebody else?
I think it depends heavily on who wins Money in the Bank.
Yeah,
I could see him just going to the SummerSlam and maybe even like I don't know a situation. Really, yeah, I think if Priest does retain against Drew, that is where I think Money in the Bank becomes the most important thing. Which maybe that'll be exactly why he does, because that'll increase the importance of Money in the Bank, because everyone's going to be like, okay, well now who's going to win Money in the Bank, and is it going to be someone on Raw or someone on SmackDown, and is it going to be someone who's going to want to cash in on Priest or someone who's going to want to cash in on Cody, and all that stuff. And again, like I feel like Drew's going to win at Clash because I expect CM Punk to win Money in the Bank, and that is just too fucking perfect. It writes itself.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, you've had some really like interesting freaking ideas and inspired ideas like about all that, and I definitely agree. Um, Dom just came in. Welcome, Dom. Wonderful to see you. He said,
Always.
I honestly can't see Priest making it past going third to SummerSlam. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I just it's gonna be very interesting because I guess for me, guys, and you guys should already know. I don't think it's like a big confession for me. I just care because I want whoever's the world champion to be beatable by Gunther, but then Gunther is such a fucking stallion. I think anybody looks beatable to him just with how they protected him, how they booked him. Even if it was a Drew, I'd be like, oh, Gunther can beat Drew because he literally beat him last year at SummerSlam to retain the Intercontinental title. So you know. Um, so that is that whole scene. Let's see the next big thing to talk about. Fuck JD and Braun Strowman. Nobody gives a shit about that. We already talked about Ricochet and Ilya because we had a nice conversation about that and Braun's booking and King of the Ring. Uh, Fuck Authors of Pain. And I like Creed Bros, but call me when you reunite with abusive father Gable. Sheamus and Kaiser doing a feud. Don't really care about that too much, even though I do like Sheamus. Lyra. Okay, here's something. So Lyra beat Kyrie, but this comes to the somewhat famous for the week backstage segment with Io destroying the backstage area, wondering what the hell is going on. So we'll go to our resident Io fan and expert here, my cohort in commentary. Is Io? I've said that she's going to turn babyface just from her pure wrestling ability and the crowd gravitating to her. Am I wrong? Is Io going to double down on being a heel and the other two are going to be sympathetic? What is happening to Damage Control, in your opinion?
Damage Control is sort of becoming QQ 2.0 in the sense that EO's factions always kind of gravitate towards this, like, we have to be the best, otherwise it's unacceptable situation. And EO, I'm assuming, because I don't remember the exact order, but I'm assuming she threw that little hissy fit after Kylie lost to Lyra.
Yes.
So EO is now in a situation where she didn't win. She couldn't beat Lyra. Kylie couldn't beat Lyra. They probably both assume that Dakota isn't going to be able. Has Dakota already lost to Lyra, actually?
Yes, she did, because I think she lost in the first
Okay.
round match in Queen of the
So,
Ring.
okay. So now all three of them have lost to this supposed rookie, basically. And EO probably just finds that wholly unacceptable. And I wouldn't be surprised if Lyra got beat the fuck down one of these weeks in like a backstage segment or, ringside or something like that.
You do make a great point because I actually forgot that Lyra beat Io. So that's how you know Io is going to kick those two to the curb because, like, girl, you lost to her too.
Yeah.
It probably will
I
just
mean,
be
that's
Io,
the other
like,
thing too
stepping.
is like Asuka's not around, and maybe Asuka would be the difference maker, but like she's injured right now, so yeah, I'm expecting a 3-on-1 beatdown on Lyra.
Oh, that'll really prove something. Uh,
I mean, it
yeah,
doesn't have to prove anything; it just has to cripple Lyra so that they don't have anyone around that can beat all three of them.
you know what? That's so true. That would be my logic too. Be like, what made you think I wanted to prove something? It's about crippling so that she's out of the way.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I still think Io is gonna just organically turn babyface just because her matches have been so fire. But I did find that interesting. Um, Still love Carlito. Did he beat Rey? No, Rey Mysterio. Of course he did. Fucking bastard. Jesus Christ. Because yeah, I didn't really
Your
watch Raw this
reaction
week.
to that was golden.
Yeah, look, I'm just gonna start rooting for pieces of shit more. So when veiled face fuckwads win
Bro,
matches, it just makes me really, really sad. And speaking of pieces of shit that I'm rooting for, I am here for abusive Dad Gable. This was
we know.
amazing. This was amazing. Because first of all, Otis, because he doesn't fucking listen, lost to Bronson Reed. That
Bro,
immediately was a problem.
bro, this is such a, like, it, Gable gives Homelander vibes right now.
And I love it. I love it. It's now listen, nobody can touch Anthony Starr because we're rewatching The Boys right now, and like, I think I just love the performance more every time I see it. I'm sorry, Foster. Did you just get tone with me in the chat? Nice.
Bro, it's
Um,
I love the way that they wrote this too because Otis was literally going to win, and then Chad threw a fucking hissy fit, insisting that he doesn't do the caterpillar, and Otis was like, what the fuck are you telling me to, like, what, you're telling me not to do my signature offense? Okay, I guess, but like, I really want to do it. And Chad was like, no, you're not fucking loud. Stop it. No, not under my watch. And then Otis was like, fine. And then he lost because you can only take so long not focusing on your opponent before they take advantage of it. And then Chad threw another hissy fit afterwards and got up in Otis's face and shit. And I think, did he slap him? I forget.
he slapped him, and he was getting ready to whip him with the belt. Like, oh,
And
you give
yeah,
it.
and then Maxine stopped him, and then he was like, "Get the fuck out of here!" And she just did. She just got the fuck out of there. Like, why would she listen to him? Why wouldn't she just stay there? Like, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna abuse her now in front of the fucking national stage? What?
I mean, bro, I'm about to say some really fucked up shit right now, so I don't really know what's gonna happen to my stock after this. But it looked like a 1950s dad. Like, are you really about to give me lip bonus? And he could not get the belt off fast enough. But no, like, okay, so this is where the really fucked up part's gonna be in. This is where can I really bring myself to say this? Because once I say it, there's no coming back. This is where Roman is the better abusive leader because like, and this is where I like how the Chad Gable story is different because you could argue in a really sick, fucked up way that like Roman was the Fletcher of the bloodline because
Yeah.
he really, by putting all that pressure on Jay really became main event Jey Uso. Because that didn't happen until he really like had the matches with Roman, and then Roman kind of forcibly took him under the wing. Whereas what you said is true. Otis had the match won.
Yeah.
So it's not like Gable is giving this guidance that's going to make Otis better. If anything, he's making Otis regress, which
You know
is
what though?
why.
I like that though because I appreciate that we have two abusive leaders who aren't the exact same style of abusive leader. I like that there's
Exactly.
nuance in this storytelling.
And that's exactly the point that I wanted to take the scenic route to, only because it's really scary what I'm willing to do to indulge my own love of shittiness. But yes,
I
there
will also
is
say,
nuance
I
here.
feel like if Roman would have wanted to whip someone in the bloodline and one of the members of the bloodline would have grabbed his arm the way Maxine did, he would have given them the look and they would have backed off. And then he would have made them do it for him instead of them just walking away.
And Heyman would have just covered his mouth and cried like he always does when things get a little too real in the
Yeah.
bloodline. Fuck
Yeah.
you, Paul. Uh, you know,
100%. Yeah, for sure.
but no, being serious here, because I am a fan of both Chad and Roman, and I'm a fan of both their heel work. And I still, even now, even though I am starting to vibe with Chad harder than like when he initially turned, I still do think I prefer him as a babyface. But I mean, he's doing great. So I mean, look, guys, let's separate the performer from what he's doing. Chad's killing this, and I'm really happy for the dude because when you talk about like that older, I know we were specifying like older main event scene, but just older performers that are still killing it. I think Chad's like 37. And like I'm so glad that he's getting
He's
a story like this.
38.
38 even. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I still look, my agenda, I said this I think last week or 2 weeks ago. My agenda is still the same. Chad wins the Intercontinental title because Sammy should be in that world title conversation. This was a detour at best to me. And then Otis beats Chad. I'm telling you, somebody even said on Twitter, and I wish I could remember because I hate not giving proper credit to people, but somebody said on Twitter, and I completely agreed with this. that Chad is doing more for Otis than Money in the Bank ever did. Like, I feel like Otis is getting his momentum and his fanfare back thanks to this angle. And I love it because we know Chad and him IRL are really close. Like I told you the story that when Chad jokingly said to Otis, "Hey, let's live together and let's just work out together and stuff." And Otis was like, "Okay." And like that's the kind of bond that those two have to see them kind of elevate each other like this. Cause I feel like Otis and K-Wave is gonna help Chad win the IC title. I think he is gonna stick around that long. But then Chad, I could see dropping it to Otis. And you know what? I think it'll get a big fucking pop when he does. And so, yeah, I am on a very serious, very real note. Because yes, I am loving the heel character of Chad, and I love dunking on babyfaces even when they're clearly in the right for Otis and Chad, two guys that I feel like have so much more ability than their card position, to see them actually thriving, I'm like, yes, yes, this is why I keep coming back every week for this fucking shit. Yes. So I love it. I love it. I I still want to see Gable's Zayn in an Iron Man match though. I know it's probably not going to happen. I'd love those two to get 30 minutes straight up. And then I don't even know when you have Otis beat Gable for the title. Maybe Gable isn't even meant for a long reign. I don't freaking know. But I feel like you can make a lot of magical moments this year with this storyline. This storyline is really cooking something special, and I'm keeping a close eye on it for sure. Um, Wow, man, Foster got a lot of tone when Otis was brought into the conversation, and I love it though. That just goes to show, hey, if you've got Foster's vote, he's ride or die. You couldn't ask for anybody better in your corner because man, he
Yeah.
will fucking fight for you, just as I will fight the bloodline forefather. You think I'm afraid of you, Solo? Fuck you. So yeah, it's just me digging my grave a little bit deeper. So yeah, Sammy comes in, they do a whole thing, and that's pretty much that angle. I'm just again looking for the next big one-on-one matchup. And then finally, the big thing, according to this freaking report here, Liv Becky steel cage match.
Oh, I don't. Oh, that's right. I do remember this. I didn't watch the match itself like
Me either.
intently, but I did see the ending, and that was entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you said it was entertaining. I'd like you to go a bit deeper. How do you feel about all this? What do you think the reverberations are going to be in the coming weeks? Like, do you
Oh,
just feel like Dom's going to
good
have to
old
explain
Dom
himself?
Dom, yeah, good old Dom Dom was trying to, quote unquote, trying to screw Liv again, and I don't mean in the sexual way. I mean in the like trying to prevent her from succeeding kind of way, and failed miserably again because he's incompetent. Um,
Yeah.
and he actually ended up helping her win, and then she just out of sheer gratitude, I imagine, because he literally helped her win and then retain the title against Becky, laid a big old smooch on him as the show actually after the show cut to black, because we didn't get to see it on TV. People had to resort to going to social media to actually see the kiss. And he did not kiss her back, and he looked very unhappy about the kiss afterwards. And I think he actually did wipe his face afterwards and everything. So they are making it very clear here that this is literally not some big conspiracy where Dom is actively trying to help Liv. It's literally he's just that incompetent. He's just fucking useless.
Okay, so I want to say two big reasons why I love this. One, because that's perfectly consistent with Dom's character from what we've known up to this point. They
Yes.
have never made him seem like a threat or big. Literally, this dude brags about going to prison when he had like one of those 24-hour holds, right? And it's like, oh, then he
And
gets out, whatever.
he never went to prison. He went to jail.
Exactly. The other thing, though, and this is a bit more sentimental on my part, when Rhea left, they did that whole thing where they all gave her a hug and wished her well. To go from that to like replacing her and kind of stepping on her memory in the group, that's too much whiplash even for me. And that's my favorite film of all time. Don't get it twisted. So I'm like, you're gonna need to be a bit more organic than that. So to know that that's probably not what's happening, that Dom really is just that pathetic that he can't even like, thwart somebody's ambitions correctly. Cool. If it does turn out though that Dom kind of vibes with it or whatever, I don't really know if I'll like that. It doesn't feel earned to me. Given how sincere the send off was for
I
Rhea and everything else.
mean, we know that Dom is the antithesis of his name.
Yes.
And Liv kind of took control of the situation. She kind of domed Dom. I don't know. Maybe he'll be into that.
Mm, maybe. Yeah, again, Judgment Day just seems to be in this really weird space where like I'm not hating them by any means, and I'm not like giving up on them or anything like that. Again, I've literally I think I've praised Priest every time we've gone on here. With him in the world title. It's just I feel like they have some identity issues I think they need to work out just with all these kind of floating pieces and everything.
Maybe this is the
Um,
test that Dom and Rhea's relationship really needs. Maybe what we really need is for Liv to wrap her legs around his head the way that Rhea did when their relationship first started and see if he can withstand that test.
yeah. Um, I will say too that Rhea's kind of failing that test on social media because she's been posting more clips of her and Buddy Murphy together, and
I
she has
dude,
not
I
done that so far.
saw. Yeah, they did. They posted like a workout video together and everything.
It's like, okay, so who's in the words of the My Time Triple H song, who's sleeping with who? Who's working who here? Um, so yeah. And
It's funny
Javar,
though because Liv has had all these moments where she's been like caught backstage with members of the Judgment Day. There was one, I think there was one where she's talking to Finn. There was another one where she was talking to someone else, but I don't remember which one. JD. There was one she was talking to JD. I don't know if she's been backstage talking to Priest or not. But like there was one where she and Dom exited the same locker room. Like there's been all
yeah.
this stuff that's like been sus as hell, and like there's no way that that's accidental. It's clearly like they mean for us to see that.
And it almost makes it see, because like if I felt like the group had more solidarity than it does right now, right? I would think, oh, is this even going to be like a Judgment Day babyface run at Liv's expense? Because Liv's trying to break up the group being this interloper, but they stood strong because there's only one mommy, and that's Rhea. And then she knows your place was never in question when you left. We don't, we have object permanence. Just because you're out of the room, it doesn't mean that we don't think you no longer exist or whatever. But I don't know, because I still feel like Priest is focused on the world title. Finn, I think, is jealous and he's kind of grappling with that. I mean, JD fucking sucks. Dom's freaking incompetent. So I don't know. I don't know. And Javaris, as far as the points you've been making in chat, I don't even really want to fully like address that because WWE isn't making that a thing. Like, I feel like it'd almost be fascinating if they did that story, provided they would do it tastefully, because we've already seen WWE can be very powerful with abuse stories, i.e., Jey Uso. But that doesn't seem to be the story they're telling. So I can get what you're saying, but WWE isn't kind of highlighting that or telegraphing it, so there's really not much to work with here. But as far as like Liv, I mean, who does she challenge now? Because I've heard Becky's going to go on an extended break, which I
Yeah.
think is deserved. So I wonder
I
what
feel
Liv
like
does
the
now.
person who makes the most sense is Lyra.
Yeah, because she has been fucking with Lyra too, and she was the runner-up in the Queen of the Ring tournament.
Well,
So
I mean, plus there's the direct connection with Becky.
exactly, yeah, yeah.
And there's also like as far as credibility goes, she's literally beaten every member of Damage Control at this point. It feels like a very obvious like next in line situation there. Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting because Lyra, I agree with you completely that Lyra very clearly seems to be next. Um, but also, I wonder if Lyra, like doing this program, if that buys Rhea enough time to come back. And then if it doesn't buy enough time for Rhea to come back, I do wonder if at that point Io will have organically turned babyface because she's such a fucking amazing worker that then Io steps to Live. So I'm thinking either Io or Rhea is the next
I
challenger
almost have to
for Lyra.
wonder if maybe Io injects herself into the Lyra Live program. Like maybe we get
Right.
Lyra versus Liv one on one at Money in the Bank. And maybe, I mean, fuck, maybe Io wins women's Money in the Bank and cashes in night of and wins the title, and then we get a triple threat at SummerSlam or
That
Clash. I
could
don't
be
know.
really interesting. Yeah, that could be really interesting.
I don't know. Yeah, because you have Io Shirai on your roster, you're not going to just not put her in the world title, situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you, man. The more I think about it, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense to me.
I
Um,
could also see a situation where if she doesn't win Money in the Bank, she could still like attack Lyra during the title match to cost her the title. Liv retains, but now all of a sudden we've still got a triple threat situation, and Liv is just the champion going into the triple threat.
yeah, that could be. That could be. Yeah. Super Blue. Dude, I fucking wish. You already heard me say earlier in the show. Unless I don't know if you were here or not, but I've given up hope on Shayna, like
You
even
were,
vying for
yeah,
the main
he
roster
was
position.
here. He was here because I
Yeah,
remember him talking about, yeah, like the last time that Shayna was this credible was EC 2020. He said that even then.
yeah. So yeah, and I agree with Javaris. Like that, they are so dialed in on those tag titles. It's fucking infuriating. But yeah, that was Raw. So those are the three WWE shows for the week. If you have anything else you want to touch on before we transition, I was going to ask you if you have any AEW stuff you wanted to talk about because I know you're still paying somewhat more attention to that promotion than I am. Oh God, that groan. Oh God, what
Did
it
you
was
hear
a.
that MJF is back?
Oh yeah, I saw the return promo actually.
What'd you think of it?
Can I be perfectly honest?
I would love
Uh,
that.
um, I didn't hate it, but I'm confused.
Okay.
Are you a heel? Or are you still a face, but you're like an edgier fit? Like, I know AEW doesn't do face and heel, but
That's
you and I
dude,
both know
that's
that's
going to be
bullshit.
any if you ask somebody who is more knowledgeable about the AEW product than us, that is going to be their answer 100% of the time.
Yeah.
It is always
A-
going to be, "Oh, he's neither. He's MJF."
And I really like unironically don't want to be a douche here, but that feels like a really big cop out to me. Uh
Dude,
because I
it's
like the yeah.
AEW since day 1. It was literally founded by the king of wanting to have your cake and eat it too in Cody Rhodes. That is basically the foundation of the company is they want to be cool baby faces that people or cool heels rather that people can get behind and cheer and buy their merch.
I mean, MJF pretty much telegraphed that that's his aspiration for himself because he came out in the early 2000s Triple H like leather denim
Yeah.
jacket look.
Yeah. Yeah, literally.
And
Exactly.
God, I wish, I wonder if you could find it by Wayback Machine, but when I think about your blog and, like, how we connected and you did that whole blog post on pulling a Triple H, I feel like that's gonna be this era of MJF we're in now, that he just pulls a Triple H every week. Like, that's the vibe that I get, right? And I gotta be honest, I hate it because I I get it actually makes sense from a psychological perspective for the character why MJF would just regress all the way back to point zero. He even says in the promo, I'm going to go back to hate, hate, hate. But like we've been there and we've done that. I would have been more interested if you had this just justified indignation. Adam Cole, I trusted you. I didn't have any friends in this business. I lost my fiance because I chose wrestling over everything. And not even because, like, yes, I love wrestling, but I also realized I was addicted to wrestling. I was using wrestling as escapism. I had lost the ability to let anybody in. You made me find that ability again, only to abuse it. Real genuine pathos there. And we don't even do it. Like maybe I'm meant to be a theater kid because I feel like these days I just want more theater in my wrestling. But then again, you know what? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not even going to apologize for it because we just got done. And I know this is like a really like tenuous connection, but we just got done like a few weeks ago, X-Men 97. And there were some people that hated the show because they're like, oh, I hate all the soap opera elements. That's honestly one of the things I love best about the show. And isn't wrestling supposed to be a soap opera? So why isn't MJF just being like, Adam Cole, how dare you hurt me like this? Because I would be like that. If I was a fucking douchebag that succeeded at everything, but was totally alone, and then somebody came into my life that made me believe that it didn't have to be that way. Because remember, that's the whole MJF character, right? He is a piece of shit because he felt he had to be. We said it in the Punk feud and we've said it in other feuds. Adam Cole was supposed to be the antithesis for his own purposes, mind you, but he was supposed to be the antithesis for that whole worldview. And then he betrays it. So if I'm Max, I don't just regress and think, oh, well, I was right all along. Like maybe you do that long term, but you still have to work through that pain. And like the idea that we don't even see that, that just shows how one note and one dimensional MJF is. And this is coming from a guy that I stand him so hard in the beginning, so fucking hard. But I'm like, dude, where's the nuance? Where's the if you're really gonna go back to hate, 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 you got to show me the journey there. That maybe you tried to be better. Maybe you didn't want Adam Cole's betrayal to take all that growth away from you, even though he was the reason for the growth in the first place, and you find it impossible. I don't judge people, like in a wrestling context, of course, for being bad if I can see that maybe they felt that that choice was one of futility, that they had no other options. I don't see this dude's options. I see that he chose it because he likes it. even though I don't think he does. I think what frustrates me about MJF, so I could shut the fuck up, is that like he is so interesting psychologically to me, but AEW is just fundamentally uninterested in that psychology. And it's like, let's play as few notes as possible to get to where we want to go. And that's disappointing to me, especially because we don't know when Cole's going to return. So what the fuck does MJF do in the meantime? Um, and just the whole thing, like in a vacuum, the return promo wasn't bad. It still had the MJF tropes that I know you hate, like screaming unnecessarily on the microphone and all that stuff. But in the broader context, I hated it. I hated it because I'm like, you're just going back to square one. And once again, these redemption and or really just human angles, it's just not up to snuff. And this is why people always have a lower opinion of pro wrestling compared to other forms of media, because when it really counts, when you can really show something so human and so relevant, you drop the fucking ball. It's
Yeah.
so yeah, I didn't expect to talk that much. But that was pretty much my thoughts on it. Did you have any thoughts on this? Because I know you've never really like been a fan of MJF. I mean, you're certainly not like the diehards that I know he has. So what were your thoughts on this?
Dude, I realized, and I might have realized it before, but I just never really truly like fully internalized it to this degree. I realized during this promo that MJF is literally this generation's CM Punk.
Which is poetic when you think about it, right? Given their whole thing and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, just to the degree that like, and I will say I'll give MJF credit because he I think is physically much more impressive than Punk. I mean, Punk was taller, which obviously is something that certain people in the wrestling business are going to value more than pure physique. But MJF's physique is far more impressive than Punk's has ever been. MJF is far more athletic than CM Punk has ever been and will ever be. But like physical traits aside, they're the same fucking person.
Yeah.
They're the same wrestler. It's literally like their entire careers have been built off of just blowing smoke up their own asses, buying into their own hype, hyping up themselves and convincing the world of how great they believe themselves to be. That's the whole
Yeah.
fucking thing. That's their entire appeal. It's just them talking about how fucking great they are. That's it. That's all they are. That's the whole fucking gimmick. That's all they are,
Yeah.
both of them. Both of them. Punk's whole thing is I'm the best in the world. MJF's whole gimmick is I'm better than you and you know it. Like they're the same person.
Yeah. Yeah.
They both even have victim complexes.
Jesus Christ, dude. Oh my god. Yeah,
Like
wow. That
Punk,
really smacks you in the face because he screamed like at least two points in this promo that I counted, like, oh, I'm the goddamn best. And it's like, okay, and
like
um
yeah, like best at what? Best at what? Hyping yourself up. That's what you're the best at. That's literally the
yeah,
only thing that you're the best at is being your own personal hype man. That's it. You're not the best at wrestling. I know that. Like I've seen dozens of your matches, and I've literally never been impressed by a single one of them. I know you've been impressed by some of his matches, and that's
yeah,
perfectly valid. I'm not trying to take anything away from that, but like, he just doesn't do it for me in the ring.
yeah,
Best at talking. I mean, what does he do on the mic that separates him from the crowd other than literally just hype himself up? That's what
yeah.
he's literally just his own personal hype man. That's all it is.
Yeah, I'll tell you, bro. I look at guys like MJF, and you know what it really makes me think? It makes me think, man, we really didn't know how good we had it with the likes of Brian Danielson. Because that's a guy that could wrestle circles around so many people, and yet on the stick and just being a character, even. Like, the dude really was one of
Dude.
the most complete performers I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, and
Like,
that's
ever.
the funny thing too, is like even Danielson got dragged down to MJF's level when they had their feud on the mic.
Yeah,
Like when they had their feud, Danielson was making fucking yo mama jokes or whatever. Like you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
Danielson got dragged down to MJF's like lowest hanging fruit level when they were going against each other in their feud leading up to their Iron Man match last year.
yeah,
Like MJF makes people worse when he works with them. Danielson usually makes people better, but this is the one exception I can think of where he actually sunk down to an opponent's level. MJF
Yeah.
is that powerful that he can actually make someone of the caliber of Bryan Danielson sink to his level.
Oh no, it's the force of the sock. Oh no. But yeah, that I saw that. Any other things on AEW you'd want to comment on? Because I know Ocean Spray is doing a lot of shit, and it's like,
I
fuck.
mean, dude, that's the thing. The pay per view was this past Sunday. It's like it falls under the week in review great like period that we're talking about
Oh,
here.
oh, I know. I skipped out on all of it, and I got to tell you again because I know I said this for the last pay per view. 10 out of 10 would skip it again. Skipping it was a great experience for me. It was amazing.
Nice,
Um, the third hour skip that I did, that was definitely 5 stars. I was really hitting my stride skipping that point of the pay per view. Or
nice.
at least at
That's
that point of the skipping of the pay per view. But no, in all seriousness, let's
I
maybe be
also
indulged.
skipped it, by the way.
Oh,
I tuned
amazing.
in for Mercedes Willow. That was a solid match. Definitely not either one of their best matches, but it was solid. Do you know about the Statlander betrayal? I assume.
Oh, well, I mean, I saw the whole garbage thing with Stokely, but I guess that was after the betrayal. So did they attack Willow post match, or what the hell even happened?
No. So Stokely, because Willow lost the title, Stokely was getting all up in Willow's face, talking shit to her, telling her about how much of a failure she is and stuff. And then Statlander actually got in the ring and bumped Stokely, and there was like this big pop for it. And then as they was getting out of the ring, Tony Schiavone was like, "Boy, it sure is a good thing that Willow has a friend like Chris Statlander." It was at that point that I knew Stat was going to turn on her, and she did. It was very Owens Zane esque, where like she grabbed her by the back of the neck and slammed her face first on the ring on the ramp.
Jesus.
It was very much similar to that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it was so yeah. Statlander turned on Willow after bumping Stokely in the ring, and after she did it, Stokely had this big smile, like he knew it was happening. So like Stokely took a bump just to set up Willow for that betrayal.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god.
Speaking of Stokely, has he agreed to be your manager yet?
No, I don't think it's gonna happen, King. I think that
Oh,
ship has sailed.
that's a real blow, man. I gotta tell you, that's a real blow.
It was a blow to me too, emotionally. I'm crying, but I'm not letting it show.
I don't know if that's healthy, but shit
Probably not, but
happens.
yeah, but then again, I'm me, so just keeping the track record consistent. Um, yeah, I don't know how I feel about. Actually, no, I do know how I feel about it. I really don't give a shit about Osprey getting this push, first winning the international title, and now apparently challenging Swerve at
Oh yeah,
like.
dude, Osprey is their golden crown child. Like he's gonna win everything. Every title that they have is gonna be one that he has either held or is currently holding within the next calendar year. I would imagine.
But should he with that face?
I mean, does it matter? It's gonna happen whether we want it or not.
You win this round, Ashton. So yeah, wow, that's really depressing. Yeah, so Okada's cool still, I think. I'm still
I wouldn't
enjoying the
know.
clip.
I haven't been paying attention.
Oh dear God,
I
yeah.
mean,
I
they
mean,
did Anarchy in the Arena, and like the Elite, which is literally like the name of the company, were the heels, and the team that was supposed to be defending the honor of the company were like 75% ex WWE guys. So
yeah.
kind of
You
hard to
know,
be invested in that.
I saw some clips from Anarchy in the Arena, and it's moments like this that really make me think that AEW should be sandwiched between reruns of Jerry Springer and Steve Wilkos.
It's
Because unlike
incredibly unserious.
Yeah. Like, oh my god, Darby set, fucking Jungle Boy on fire or Jack Perry on fire.
Yeah,
And it's like, what the fuck? Like, what? I like Okada. At least. I do just want to go to bat for the king. Wow, Foster actually taking up for me and saying cancel Stokely because he didn't agree to be my manager. Foster, you can be my manager. I'd prefer you anyway, honestly, if that's on the table. But no, Okada I think is still good. I will give AEW this credit because I really do try and be fair, even if I don't like a company when they do things well. I know we both do. And sometimes I'll admit, especially for me, because I am a child, it's really hard, right, to even give them credit when they deserve it. I am grateful, unironically, for AEW giving Okada the chance to be more of a character and to get more mic time and to be more of a heel because honestly, it's one of the best things, not just in AEW. I think low key, if I would keep up with it more, I'd probably consider it one of the best things in pro wrestling in general. That clip of him getting that Lamborghini, I think it was. 'Cause I know there was a debate, was it a Ferrari or a Lamborghini? And Okada like fake crying, only for like a few seconds later to go back to like stone faced and calling the crowd bitches and stuff. Which I mean, Okada, look, I am thirsty, yes, but I'd like to pride myself that I've never been so desperate, but I just want to make it known that I will be your bitch if you take me to work at least one time in the usual Ferrari. I want to know how your wife feels, my dude. Like, absolutely. So yeah, he I think is doing great stuff. Honestly, it makes me a bit pissed that Okada's in this spot because fuck Osprey. Just from my personal fan perspective, I know he's got his fans, and oh my god, he's killing it, and this and it's like okay, but I if you would have told me that it would be Swerve and Okada at the next big pay per view, like I'm fucking there. I'm fucking there. You know, and like hell, I do think Swerve should retain in that matchup, but if it was a multi match program, at some point I would say put the AEW World Title on Okada. But he's still doing this stuff with the Bucks. I'm not even going to hate on the Bucks because I do think them having these characters has also been the best thing for them. So yeah, I would say that these guys are the best thing in AEW programming, but I have to ask because I didn't watch the pay-per-view. Did they even win this match or did the AEW defenders or whatever did they win?
What do you
Do
mean?
we even who won Anarchy in the arena, I'm saying? Like the
Oh,
defenders or the elite team?
um, the elite.
Thank God. Okay. See, and then that's good too, because they should be winning. They should be. Like, that's how you gain credibility. That's how you make them a threat. That's how you make heels a draw because people should pay to want to see them get taken down a peg. So fuck you, Darby, and your efforts to fucking ruin that for everybody.
You know, I would
So
be more
yeah,
excited if the elite wasn't one quarter Jungle Boy
that's that's valid. Yeah. No, that's valid. Um,
and 50% Young Bucks. And normally, you know, I don't have too much of a problem with the Young Bucks, but I've actually learned recently that historically, throughout the entire existence of AEW, the Young Bucks are anti draws.
see, dude, I'm gonna be honest because I know you've actually gone up to bat for their characters recently, even when I was hesitant. Now
Yeah,
I'm
they've been
embracing.
fun recently, but just like going all the way back to 2019, like the 5 years that AEW has been on TV now at this point, they on average lose viewers when they're on TV.
See, I didn't know they were anti draws, and to be honest, like that's still a problem. Don't get me wrong, but I'm relieved that's what the problem is because the way you were queuing that up, bro, I'm like, given the nature of the business too, I thought you were gonna be like, oh, I learned recently that the Young Bucks have a like race problem or they have a problem
Oh,
with women. I was gonna be like, oh,
if they
Jesus
do, I'm not
Christ.
aware of it, but I wouldn't be
Okay.
surprised.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either. It's pro wrestling, but I thought that's what you were queuing up to say, and then you're like, oh, they're an anti-draw. And it's like, it's a really sad state of the industry when that's the best bad problem you can have.
Yeah,
It's like,
the
oh, thank
worst,
God.
yeah, the least shitty thing that you can be is just bad for the business.
Yeah, goddamn. By the way, I want to ask this for anybody that's been watching because I'm kind of a hypocrite because I said I missed this dude, and yet I have not watched one thing of his since he's been back just because it's AEW. How has Kyle O'Reilly been for everybody?
Kyle O'Reilly literally just wrestled on Collision tonight, actually.
I'm seeing a clip of that. I'm seeing a clip of
Yeah, he
that right
wrestled
now.
Osprey.
Yeah, of him and Osprey going back and forth, but he still looks like he cooks with gasoline, so good for Kyle, I guess. I just haven't watched any of his shit since he's been back. That's
Yeah, they've gone out of their way to make him uninteresting, I feel like.
oh, that's oh.
I mean, bro, he
Wait.
literally debuted and they kind of teased like he was going to join up with the Undisputed Kingdom. And then, like, he kept on being nice to his opponents and Roderick wouldn't stand for it and he attacked him. And then we had the Roderick versus Kyle match. I believe that was at Double or Nothing. I could be wrong about that, but it was at a big show. And Roderick just won, and Kyle's basically just like floating in limbo now.
That's so great, man. That's so great. Wow.
So proud of you that you've gotten this good at masking your dying soul.
No, that's just tremendous. I'm really happy for AEW and Kyle. That's great. Um,
Jesus Christ, man.
so
Fuck.
yeah, so yeah, literally, and I've said this before, and I don't apologize for saying it because I'm even hyped for the episode they're coming out with tomorrow. Hey EW, the show with RJ City that he does, that's
They're
my
gonna
favorite
do
part
an
of
episode with
AEW.
Nina.
Dude, I'm so fucking psyched for you. You have no idea. Like I am with how late I stay up these days. Like I'm on that shit when it fucking drops, literally. So yeah, that's the best thing AEW's got going, and they don't pay RJ enough. And so yeah, fucking get on that. Anything else from AEW that you'd like to talk about, sir? Because
Oh
it's
yeah. So two things. First of all, the Kyle O'Reilly Roderick Strong match was at AEW Dynasty, which was their April pay per view. They have an April pay per view now.
yeah.
And thank you to Javaris for pointing out that Jack Perry actually won Anarchy in the Arena for their team, and he pinned Brian fucking Danielson.
If that doesn't prove that he's the most selfless guy in the business to a fault, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
Learn to
Also, I
politic
love that
one time, my
Alex
guy.
Foster just said that the best episode of Hey EW for him was still the Suzuki episode. For me, it was Mariah May. That was hilarious. I love that.
Yeah, the Mariah May episode was fantastic.
I love that. I love like it was. I think it was actually the last thing where there was a guy that was like, "Oh, I wish I had more to offer, but right now all I have to offer is autism." And Mariah just lost it, and she was like, "You know, it kind of turned me on."
Yeah.
She seems like a wonderful person, honestly.
I'm rooting for her with everything. Mainly,
Everyone,
I'm
dude,
rooting
everyone's picking her to win the female Owen Cup this year.
as they should. Oh yeah, because oh yeah, that is another thing I saw that the winners will be getting title shots, and I'm like, what took you so long?
Yeah, I
Cool.
think at All In, right?
I believe so, but I'm not too sure. Wouldn't surprise me if it was all in at all. So, um,
Anyway, I think we're done, right? We can move on.
excellent. So we can open up the forum for questions. Um, so yeah, if anybody has any questions about this week in the world of wrestling,
Oh yeah,
please
while we're
ask.
waiting for people to ask questions, did you see Maria almost got paralyzed today?
I heard about it. I couldn't bring myself to watch the clip. I
Fucking Unagi.
fuck it, this is why Stefan belonged with fucking Maria, like fuck. And be safer with fucking people, Unagi. Maria is a treasure. There's only one of her, okay? You're a fucking dime a dozen. Get better, suck less. Um Foster. So I'm the only one thinking Kiana may be getting favor with Pearson that may lead to a huge title run put. Foster, that would be fascinating because sometimes I wonder if they want to make Pierce a heel, but I never get that vibe from him. So it's hard for me to like run with speculation like that because I feel like initially he'd have to be a heel for that to be on the table. But I
John,
like where your head's at.
was
I
it
do.
Kiana that you brought up Eve Torres with recently?
Yes, yes, I did. That was me. Yep.
I have to wonder if they might be going that kind of angle where she's going to almost be like the GM's assistant and work that into some kind of an angle where like there's just one woman on the roster that doesn't get booked or something or like gets booked poorly or gets, like she specifically picks on and like puts in really unfavorable positions and they end up feuding and it leads to something where that leads to her in-ring debut on the main roster. I don't know. It's giving similar though. I get it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why I thought of it, man. Because I'm really like I really do wonder if they're gonna do something similar with her. So I'm keeping all that in mind, Foster. I like where your head's at. I just don't know because I think that would have to make Pierce, even if not a heel, definitely somebody that plays favorites. And I don't really know if they
I
want the GMs to have
mean,
characters per se.
kind
I
of
don't know.
already does. I'm just saying.
Well, how do you mean?
Breaker?
Oh, you mean like the whole thing they're doing with Breaker? Well, yeah, but I guess he was playing favorites with Breaker. He would have been in the King of the Ring tournament, right?
Well, that's
So
what I.
like
Okay, so Ilya then would be a better example.
maybe, but like I don't know. I guess when I say playing favorites, like you don't see segments of him like being really like affectionate or like uplifting with a talent or whatever. It just always seems like very professional, tries to treat everybody equally, same as Aldis. So I don't know if they want these GMs to have characters beyond their authority. That's kind of my thing.
Gotcha.
Um, so I don't know. I don't know. But Caster, now that Breaker's push started, do you think this will end in a long IC title reign, or do you think WWE wants to make him world champion in no time? I mean, Caster, to be honest, much like EO, I was telling your mom this actually, Ashton, a little bit ago. I feel like Braun could get organically over with this gimmick. Well, not gimmick, but just this angle, I guess, of him spearing everybody because I think
Right.
people will start to pop for it. I have to wonder, A, Money in the Bank, but that feels too soon. I even wonder if it's too outlandish to call Breaker a potential Rumble winner for 2025. I mean, Cody's already won 2 fucking Rumbles. I don't think he's winning it next year. Um, so yeah,
That would
like
suck.
I really have to wonder, but I don't know, Caster. I don't know. What do you think, man? Because I think you probably have a clearer idea, I'm assuming anyway, about Braun than I do, because I'm kind of all over the place.
I think IC title works. I think that makes sense, especially because I feel like he is a heel, and I think that him just being this like unstoppable force heel, beating Sami Zayn eventually would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah. Super Blue asked, "Are you gonna react to Battleground next Sunday?" I mean, honestly, speaking for myself, I don't really know if we've gone out of our way to react to NXT shows. The only thing that I'd be amenable to right now with Ashton would be the Women's North American Championship ladder match and Jordan Roxanne. Because
Yeah,
the way the World Title
yeah.
match is looking, that looks
God,
like a skip. Fuck the tag titles.
I
So yeah,
really
those.
wish that Gallus just didn't exist because I would love to react to Oba West, but fuck that triple threat.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. No, you same wavelength, man. Same wavelength, 100%. Um, so yeah, yeah, I just feel like most of it looks skippable to me, Super Blue, except for those 2 matches, which I'm the most enthused about. Um, um, Foster, in the Chase U story, are you Team Ridge or Team Riley? Oh God, those are our options. Jesus Christ. Uh, Maybe even Team Ridge in this case. Riley's such a dweeb.
I think
Fuck.
I as far as like if we are just ignoring who the arguments are coming from and basing our stance exclusively on the situation, I lean Ridge because Riley's being a fucking dickhead, but I don't
Yeah,
like either one of them. I
that's really where
and
I'm at,
really
man.
I think I like Riley as a performer more than Ridge, but I like Ridge's character, not even character. I feel like I just Riley is just less likable right now as a character than Ridge.
Yeah, like I kind of want to turn up right now, low key, because I'm offended that they would even put me in this situation. Like you're making me, you're subjecting me to this angle with shitters, and like they're either shitters personality wise because they're fucking dweebs, like our NXT Tag Team Champions. I'm sorry, I really hate them.
No,
And
I
then
totally am with you. By the way, I wanted to ask you if you thought that Gallows and Anderson were going to win those tag titles from them.
I hope so. And like, isn't that sad because it's Gallows and Anderson? Like, what are we doing?
Ew.
Fuck.
They
Yeah,
were just
like
on SmackDown doing the too sweet with AJ Styles so that he could fake his retirement.
yeah, so we could flatten Cody as if he was AJ's version of the Earth. So I don't know. I don't fucking know. Yeah, the whole thing kind of sucks. Um, any other questions?
Meep, meep, meep.
Now listen, you relax over there.
I went full Roadrunner, baby.
My favorite Looney Tunes vignettes,
Wait,
Roadrunner.
really?
Oh, I loved them as a kid.
Oh,
Yeah, those are my favorite by
I
far.
learned
Yeah,
something about you today. I never knew that. That's amazing.
yeah. You seem genuinely touched.
I
You're
am.
welcome.
Thank you for sharing
Um,
that.
do you think Shayna versus Lola main events because of the UFC Vegas?
No.
You know, it's really far from the worst question you've asked. I don't even think it's a bad question. I just think, yeah, I don't. I think they're going to want to see the kind of reaction Trick gets in Vegas. And if anything, if any women's match was to main event, I could see maybe the
Roxanne
ladder match
Jordan.
because
Oh,
Roxy, yeah, that is true too, actually, because it is a TNA talent. I mean, that's huge. So yeah, I just don't think it's going to be Shayna Lola.
I love how
Um,
stacked the women's side of the battleground card is.
Yeah, that does make me low key respect NXT because you could tell that they're starting to flex more, even if it's just through Ava on the mic, that they have the best women's division. But here's the thing: have the main dude. Honestly, I'm gonna call my shot now. Roxanne Julia should main event Heat Wave, a
Oh my
hundred
god.
percent
If
to me.
if Julia is recovered in time for that, 100% yes.
Like, cause no disrespect to Trick and no disrespect to Oba either, who honestly, like, I think I'm a bigger Oba fan than a Trick fan right now.
Same.
Love both guys,
Yeah,
right?
same.
Great. But like that women's match is a whole barbecue and a half. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, it's gonna cook. That
Whole
is gonna
barbecue and a
cook.
half. That's funny.
God damn. Like, yeah, that should 1,000% main event Heat Wave. Um, but look,
Is Trick
Foster's like,
gonna like? Are we gonna get like Trick versus Noam versus Ethan Page in a triple threat?
that is one of the most ass sounding things I've heard, and we have Dallas on this fucking card. What the hell are we doing? Jesus Christ. And
I mean,
I
I'm
even
not
like
saying
no.
it's good. I hate it. I'm just saying that that looks to me like what they're kind of angling towards.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck. Maybe. So Super Blue, who do you think wins the Owens tourney in AEW? I love what you've been hearing, Ashton. I'm guessing you're going to co-sign with Mariah May winning the
Yeah,
women's.
I think I would love it for it to be Mariah May. Weird gut feeling. Britt Baker returns and wins it for the second
Oh
time.
God, no,
I know.
no.
Everyone's been clamoring for her to come back though, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Mariah would definitely be my number one pick. Really, I can't even say that. My number one pick would be a returning Jamie Hayter, but if we can't have Jamie back, Mariah is the easy number one pick. For the men's though, I fuck man, who gives a shit?
I'm
It's just gonna be
I'm
Osprey anyway. Osprey.
it's it's either going to be Osprey or I'm going to be the dickweed and say MJF just so that he can get back on the path because like he lost his title due to some bullshit of like working himself into the ground and everything, and he's like, well, now that I'm feeding on hate, you're getting the real MJF. I want my title back, kind of thing. So I could see MJF winning it for the men's. Um, oh dear. Let's see. Okay, these aren't questions; they're more just comments. I'm just trying to be on the lookout for the next question. Javaris, I'd pop for Okada. I genuinely think he's doing some of the best work of his career, and that's insane to think about, given the bangers he fucking put on in New Japan. But from a character perspective, he's doing the best work of his career.
It's great that they're
Yeah,
actually letting him flex some character chops at all. Like that's
yeah,
it's not really something you see much in New Japan. Like New Japan, their idea of letting Okada flex his character chops was red balloon.
yeah. I really can't believe that AEW, this company that jerks itself off about work rate and stuff, is paying Okada the big money. And like they still want him to be Okada, don't get me wrong, but like they want him to be Okada with a personality. Like I'm genuinely shocked. I'm like, goddamn. So Dominique Adams. Oh my God, Dominique. Why would you? Okay. What are the odds Soraya challenges Mercedes for All In? I'd say pretty fucking high, honestly. You
Yeah,
know AEW wants to do that match. I can't
yeah.
even front like they don't want to do it.
Well, yeah, because it's like you've got like the real life story that they're gonna want to tell of everyone thinking that, and I think Soraya has actually kind of fed into this a little bit that Soraya or that Mercedes ended her career in WWE, and they're gonna want to tell that story, and they're gonna want to latch onto all that heat that comes along with it, and it's probably gonna lead to Mercedes getting death threats, and it's disgusting, and I hate that they're probably gonna do it, but they're probably gonna do it.
Yeah. I mean, nothing more I can say than that. Any other questions, everybody?
Do we have any idea who what the fields for the Owen tournaments even are gonna look like yet? Like,
I know not a goddamn thing about any of that.
I'm more asking chat, honestly. I I just assume that you don't watch anything AEW related and you don't keep your finger on the pulse at all, so that's all good.
No, I very like just barely keep my finger on the pulse. How do you feel about Sky Blue being the one to attack Monet? I really don't feel anything. I know they're trying to make Sky Blue a thing and cool, but yeah, I didn't even know that that was a thing. I didn't even know that that happened.
Hang on,
Um,
just to clarify, Super Blue, are you saying that because it was revealed to be the case, or are you saying that as like a suggestion, like like gauging temperature? Like, what if that was the case?
See, given that he said, "How do you feel?" not "How would you feel?" I'm thinking like he's
Right,
telling
but
us
it's
this
also
happened.
Super Blue, and he phrases things differently than us sometimes.
That is also fair. So a check-in never hurts. I'm just saying that was the assumption I operated under. So
Yeah. Because I feel like
We
if it was
will.
officially announced that Sky Blue was officially the one that attacked Mercedes, we would have known it. It
Yeah.
happened. Are you? Oh my god, Jesus Christ! So let me ask you this, John. Since we're in Q and A, we're doing Q and A. I might as well just do a Q of my own and get your A.
Oh, I
Um,
feel totally safe after you, like, groaned, allowed yourself to just, like, be like, "Why the fuck are we talking about this shit?" And then gather yourself enough to ask me a question in the most formal manner possible. So, no, go ahead. Go ahead. I can't
what
wait to
was
get
the
it.
lamer reveal of who was the attacker? Sky Blue on Mercedes Monet or Ethan Page on Noam Dar and Oro Mensa?
God, I gotta say Ethan for me, man. Mainly because I saw it, and I'm like, oh, because I really had my hopes pinned on, man. No, I'm just faking his own attack with Aura's help, maybe, and then like that leaving Lash totally freaking confused. But no, no, it's fucking Ethan. So yeah, that hurt worse, mainly because I actually keep my finger on the pulse of NXT. I don't blame anybody that says Sky though if they're a big AEW fan,
Dude,
because that's got to be a
that
whoa.
was a whole thing where we were thinking that Mercedes was going to have revealed, like it was literally the exact same situation because we thought that Mercedes was going to have been revealed to have attacked, like not even have been attacked, and that she just staged it to try and create tension between Willow and Chris Statlander and make it seem like Stat was the one that attacked her to make it seem like she didn't trust Willow to successfully retain the title against her. And there was like this whole deeper story being told by the fucking head canon of the internet. And no, it was just random ass Sky Blue for no goddamn reason. Garbage ass. And now it's like the exact same thing as Noam. It's like this genius storyline of Noam Dar staging an attack on himself to try and distract Lash Legend from Trick Williams and try and make himself look sympathetic in her eyes and make Trick look like a bad guy. But no, it's just random ass Ethan Page for no goddamn reason. I fucking hate when wrestling companies don't tell logical stories.
I know it hurts. Um,
Apparently, it led to a TBS title match and Mercedes just retained. So that storyline's just cut and dry. Like that's just it. Mercedes got attacked. They hyped, like there was speculation online about who did it for weeks, maybe even months. I don't know how long ago it happened. And then just literally this week, it was just revealed to be Sky Blue. She challenged Mercedes for the TBS title, lost, and now that whole story's over. That's just it.
how many times are they going to give Sky Blue championship matches in both divisions and just have her lose? Like, I'm not saying she should be a champion, but like they give her a lot of these. I feel like, and it just nothing ever happens. Um,
Dude,
y-
Sky Blue and Anna Jay need a stardom run, and maybe one of them, or if we're really lucky, both of them will get good enough to actually fucking deserve the push that either of them gets.
uh, that's quite a magical world. Wow, you can really tell how I'm feeling about all this AEW discourse. Just fucking yawned up in here.
Honestly,
Uh,
your timing is impeccable. That was amazing.
yeah, thank you. Um,
Javaris, you don't need to ask that. You know what they see in her, a cute white girl with a chubby booty
yeah.
who
Um,
shows it off.
let's see, Foster. Was that a genuine question, by the way,
She's
earlier? Because I
she's
don't even.
basically their answer to Alexa Bliss. Like that is the easiest way that I can frame it. Like if you've never seen anything in Alexa Bliss, you're never going to see anything in Sky Blue or Anna Jay either. Because the thing that they all have in common is that they're all cute white girls with cute perky butts that a lot of dudes like to fawn over. That's literally what it comes down to. That is the entire story.
There you go. I was a bit confused, Foster, when you said, "What are we going to do with John's A?" But to answer
It
that,
was
I
because
would
I
hope.
said that I had a Q and I was going to get your A.
Oh, okay, okay. I would okay, but yeah, I was gonna say put it on the fridge. I mean, I worked really hard on it. But Foster's legitimate question: do you guys think Javon's involvement with the trick story leads him to being in a title match sooner than later? I could see
Ooh.
it. Yeah, I could definitely see that, Foster, for sure. Yeah,
I'm still hoping that we get Javon versus Noam at some point now that we know who attacked Noam.
yeah, definitely,
Did
definitely.
Javon beat Oro?
Yes, he did. He
Good,
did.
good. That's good because that makes it more likely that we're going to get him versus Noam.
Hell yeah. Um, so yeah, I feel like things have kind of calmed down on the question front. I think we're all kind of ready to like move on from this. I'm just gonna move on to our next segment here.
Hot.
High spots and low shots. Um, not to be depressive, but I kind of want to make the low shot us because man, there was a lot of suck we had to sift through this week as well. I didn't realize how profound it was, and then you just reminded me like fucking Ethan on NXT, and then all this other shit. Like Christ. But my actual low shot will be, my low shot will be Noam Dar. Because here's the thing: he was jockeying for an NXT Championship match against Trick. And then he gets taken out, and we at
Oh,
first think that it's a stroke of Machiavellian genius, like, oh, he's just manipulating everything because he knows he's losing Lash, so he needs to get Lash back in his camp. So he's just gonna fake his own assault. But no, no, rather than doing really clever writing to actually get some really good heat on Gnome, this is just a catalyst for fucking a dull ass, fucking boring ass wrestler in Ethan Page to get a rub. And now he's probably gonna encroach on that title shot because either it's just gonna be Ethan versus Trick one-on-one, or it's going to be Ethan versus Trey versus Noam. When, to be honest, when looking at those options, I was just far more interested in the Noam Trek title match. So yeah, Dar is 1000% my low shot this week.
yeah, that's perfectly fair. I'm gonna take Bailey as my low shot because she's got Nia Jax sort of breathing down her neck. She got attacked by Piper Niven and Chelsea Green this week, and then not only was she attacked from behind and kind of beaten down a little bit, but she and Naomi lost in their tag match to them as well. So even when it was like a proper officiated match, then you would expect to be more of a fair fight, they still lost.
All right, honorary high spot Okada, because being a redeeming thing in a really shitty company is very hard to do, and he's doing it. So
Yeah,
kudos
that's
to him.
true.
Uh Actual high spot though. Oh God. Oh
Tough
Jesus.
week this week.
Tough life this week. Clearly, if you're a wrestling fan, Marty Gold hasn't heated up enough yet for me to give a Marty Gold member a high spot shot for me. That'll probably be like whoever the first title holder is or whatever. So I'm always keeping Marty Gold on my mind. You know what? Fuck you. All right. Fuck you, pro wrestling. If you're going to be fucking lazy and all, so am I. So I'm going to be lazy and say that my high spot is Liv. She retained in a steel cage, and Becky went away for a while, which in kayfabe is great for Liv because you're talking about one of the biggest threats to her title reign. You don't think Becky would have kept coming back and back for title shots? No. Now Becky just removed herself from the equation. So yeah, if you're Liv, you're fucking riding high. And I don't know, Dom may be liking what you're doing, maybe he's not. He's worthless. Who gives a shit? But you're really just making Rhea's life hell. And if you're Liv, you just got to think that that's pretty neat. So, who's your high spot?
I think maybe for the first time in TWitWoW history, I can say that my high spot is Jordan Grace.
Wow, I love it though.
Yeah, comes out of absolutely nowhere, aka TNA Wrestling, to get a shot at the NXT Women's title. Pretty fucking fantastic, if you ask me. Got a pretty decent pop, and I know she was in the Royal Rumble earlier this year, but still, this is huge for her exposure. She got to cut a little promo. She had a backstage segment that she was able to kind of flex her talking chops a little more, and we're getting a match from her against Stevie Turner on this coming episode of NXT. So, really, really great week from Jordan. I will say honorary high spot to Lyra Valkyria. She beat Kairi this week, which sent Io Sky into a tizzy. Obviously, has her panicked, and she's probably the number one contender for Liv's title. Honestly,
Thank you for always exposing to me just really what an awful person I am underneath and just what an awful pro wrestler I'd be because Roxanne, being so much younger than I am, has 100 times the maturity. Because if I was a champion, I would pull a Triple H by bringing my gold shovel out and being like, "Oh, Jordan, nice of you to join us on a wrestling program that's watched by more than 200 people." And I'd kill the deal right at the start. Oh man, Jesus Christ. But yeah, no, I
well,
love that pick, man.
yikes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, dude, they would chew my ass out in the bed. We had all these plans. We're gonna cross over TNA's, ask you why my champion just buried their product. Is it a burial if it's true? Yes. Fucking give me that title. Oh god, but no, that's why Roxanne's the prodigy, and I'm just the old man talking about wrestling. So you go, Roxanne. You do the damn thing.
God, imagine if Cody Rhodes just walked up to AJ Styles and stood him like right up against him, and then like did that like Christian Peeps thing where he like looks out to the crowd over top of AJ's head and was like, "Oh, where are you, little guy?" and like made fun of him for being short, like that the ultimate burial. It's like, is it a burial if it's true? It's like, yeah, that's exactly what makes it a burial right there.
To be fair, I've been doing that in my own house because I think I'm taller than my sister now, and I have not let her live it down.
Wait,
So like,
how?
If Cody would have
How does
done
that
that,
happen? I thought your sister was like 5'5".
well, not anymore. She's not. Um, but no, if Cody would have done that, I got to be honest, that would have been the first time that I would have looked at him, given him the side nod, the really subtle one that you like to give when you want to acknowledge somebody but not make a production out of it, and been like, my undisputed champion right there. But no, Cody had to be a dweeb about it again. Why do you keep fumbling the bag? So
He
yeah.
called me little bro.
My dad's dusty, and so are my eyes. Fuck you. So yeah, that is the week in review. I never thought I'd feel so grateful for it to be over. I didn't even think it was gonna be that bad when we started, and then we're just reminded of all the suck going on, and I'm like, God damn. So yeah, that was the week in the world of wrestling. I'm John. That's my coordinating commentary, Ashton. Everyone, please like the videos you find out, subscribe, with the bell notifications so you don't miss any of that 12-hour goodness. Check out everything we're involved in the description box. Follow us on Twitter and Twitch because we are the best wrestling podcast in all the IWC. If you are here only for us to recap the week in the world of wrestling because you're like, I ain't got time to watch all this fucking content, from WWE and all these other people. I just want one encapsulation of everything. Well, we'll see you again. I think at 10:30 again because there shouldn't be anything going on Saturday that we would prioritize like over this to push this back earlier. And yeah, so that's the next in review. As far as commentaries go, are we gonna have a Mari Gold show before Stardom recap on Thursday? I feel like we'll probably have Mari Gold
I would
covered, right?
sure hope so. Yeah.
Because I think on June 5th Mari Gold's gonna get like a show up. They might even have one before that, but I know it'll be up at like 5 a.m. our time.
Well,
So
I
then I
think
don't know if
wasn't there
yeah,
like a show or two even on June 1st, like literally like earlier today, even like 24 hours ago or something like that?
probably yeah.
And it's just not
So
up yet. I don't know when it's gonna be up, but I'm pretty sure there was.
well, hopefully, I mean, I really like doing Mari Gold on Tuesday last week because I like some separation between
Yeah.
that and Stardom
Okay.
on
So
Thursday.
here I'm looking right now at the Muddy Gold like initial release schedule.
Yeah,
They had shows on 6/1 and 6/2.
yeah, okay.
So if those are up, I'd like to do those as soon as possible. But I've been checking in occasionally on Wrestle Universe, and neither one of those shows is actually up right now.
Okay, well, I mean, we can only do what's in our control.
Exactly.
So yeah, we'll play it by ear, and that's why, guys, I gotta say, it really is important to be subscribed to our Discord and really to follow either one of us on Twitter because the moment we get wind that we can do something, we always put out a release. I know Ashton loves to ping everybody in the Discord, especially. That's why I think Discord is the best option. But a secondary option would just be Twitter follows because I would try and be better about, oh hey guys, just so we're doing this. We're doing Mario Gold at such and such time. So yeah, that's why it's always good to keep your finger on the pulse with us because a lot of stuff is out of our control, but we like doing stuff as soon as it becomes available to us.
Yep.
So yeah, that'll be Mario Gold, and then the fixed time, of course, Stardom at 7 on Thursdays when you like your Joshi content. And so yeah, be sure to join us for all that. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Be good to yourselves and each other. Tune in and peace out.